Good evening, everybody. Welcome to America's Third Party. I'm David Sponheim. And we are sitting on a massive amount of wake-up calls across the nation. It's become evident that Donald Trump has given secrets away to Russia. When he fired James Comey, the day he did, he brought Russians into the White House with Russian spy agencies. And officials are now saying on multiple networks that Trump shared classified information with Russia. Even BBC has it here. We've got multiple networks talking about it. Trump shared classified information. Here's CNN. Just endless. Here's the meeting. What did Donald Trump tell the Russians? And this secret meeting really, is going to be vetted by our government officials. And we'll get back to exactly what he said, because we don't even know. But the fact that he said it and it's been done, and he even admitted finally when he changed his story 3 times as to why he fired James Comey, he finally admitted that he just didn't want this Russian thing to continue and he wanted to stop it, which is basically he self-revealed that he committed a felony. He misused his power to fire a person investigating him. Now, I asked for Comey's resignation, 3 or 4 months ago on various grounds, that he was obviously padding his pocket, evidence that maybe Comey has family members that are benefiting financially from this whole thing. But my concern was that James Comey actually affected the election, and that was the first reason Donald Trump gave. And it's also the reason many people thought that he was fired. But it's really, and Trump's admitting himself, it was really because he was investigating him into the Russian affair. Classic case of a person who's admitting a felony. So, and North Korea has released a missile test. Here it is. Okie dokie. They have missiles. Yep. The truth is out. They have missiles. Not much we can do right now to deal with that, because the least we can do is stop talking about Kim Jong-un as anything but a leader of a country, because what John McCain just called him a crazy fat kid didn't go over well with Kim Jong-un. And I got to tell you, this is a very delicate situation. So I'm going to ask John McCain, could you refrain from making elaborate statements in front of cameras regarding foreign policy? Thanks. We need to disinvest ourselves from the New World Order, and in the process try to negotiate a peace deal with countries that obviously don't want peace. So we've got a very strong series of problems ahead. Let's put it that way. There's no question about what we're facing. But with Trump out of the picture soon, we hopefully will see much more clarity here. Now, a New York Times report has shown just how deep the conspiracy was. Pale Blue News has this from Ozark. Thank you. Ozarks gave us this link. And we got a lot of people watching in the Ozarks. A New York Times report shows how deep the conspiracy was. So, according to the New York Times report, Vice President Mike Pence collaborated with Trump on FBI Director Comey's firing in near secrecy. Pence could face impeachment as well, which definitely Spicers could be out. Look, I think the entire cabinet of Donald Trump needs to be disassembled, and I think we need to get Congress into emergency session. I don't know if anyone's listening at a high level. I think emergency session is necessary right now. I think they need to put a special prosecutor on this immediately, and then move toward impeachment or indictment at this point, once we've got everything lined up, all our ducks in line. But we need to get Paul Ryan on board with becoming president. I've been saying this for at least 3 months now. that Paul Ryan is the most stable solution here as we migrate to perhaps another election or a new solution, something. No, Hillary's not capable of conducting business with all of her historic misstatements and miscalculations, and most of all, the corruption behind her campaign. You scratch and sniff that campaign, you're going to get as much corruption and ties to Russia as you did with Trump. So even Hillary has endorsed Trump's behavior in Syria, fighting for more war. This is not something America wants. Americans don't want war in Syria. Kissinger does. That's why he met with Donald Trump and had like a show of force, like we really care about this old man who should never have been influencing policy all these years. We got a lot of people watching on UHF. Thank you, Ozark. I know Paul Ryan's a Mason member, but I don't know anyone right now who we can rely on with a low connection to either side. I mean, Ryan's walked the middle as a Tea Party guy. His Masonic connections are definitely noted, but what are we going to do? We really don't have any alternatives here because our president and vice president need to be removed. So I would say Paul Ryan will give us kind of a cushion to land on as we become more aware of this situation, and as it evolves, we can begin looking at another option. And I certainly want to be president, no question about it. But I am really frustrated in a country where I've been censored by my own media, the mainstream media, for the past 8 years. It's just absolutely insane how this has been happening, and nobody seems to care about that except me. I know some of you do care, but we're all unable to speak in our country. I'm just a simple person just like you who's unable to get heard. So one of the officials with knowledge of Trump's meeting with the Russians called the timing of the disclosure particularly unfortunate, as the president prepared for the White House meeting on Tuesday with Turkish President Erdogan. Yeah, an ally in the fight against ISIS. Well, Buck Rob, bottom line is ISIS, you need to reassess that too. ISIS has been partially fabricated by our own CIA to justify war overseas. And the reason why they want to do it is that the ultimate goal is for them to continue expanding credit. And they've only got one thing in their playbook, war. They don't have any other way to expand credit, these people, and they've maxed out their credit at the Fed. They can't touch the interest rate. They know it's going to destabilize our economy. So everything's very trepidatious. And what they do is they start wars. This is a traditional thing they've been doing for a long time to create more money. So we've got to pull back a little bit on our concern about the fakery in the ISIS story, but let's be real. There are real terrorists in the world. Let's not in any way drop our guard at this time. Trump has blown it big time. His endless tweeting. I won't be tweeting as a president. I want you to know I'm going to be having more personal press conferences than any other president in history. That I will not put people out there like Sean Spicer to speak for me. I will speak for the American people, and I will discuss things with all of you, and we will open up the dialogue. We can't rely on people who are inept to mix up and confuse the message. Right now, we have to be as fluid and dynamic and transparent as we can ever be to solve these problems. And hiding behind a door or a desk and having a press secretary answer for everything that's going on is not the best way to handle things. Trump even said he's going to fire the press secretary or stop doing the press conferences, which is absurd. People want to know. And, not allowing the American press into the meeting he had where he divulged state secrets to the Russian spies that were in the White House. I mean, it's unbelievable that he would do that. But he's literally saying, come and get me. He's a bad man, and we never really should have allowed this guy into the race because of his business ties with Russia and his lack of transparency and his conflict of interest in the White House. All of this should have been exempting him from running for president. And because the system did not work, the greediest of all people in government is now at the helm of our nation, and we need to pull back because right now we're in a very dangerous time. The more he feels trapped, right now he's probably kicking back and just trying to digest what he just did. But as he comes to grip with what he just did, we are going to be seeing a person begin to act recklessly, irrationally. That's my biggest concern. That is a serious, serious concern, and it cannot be ignored. He's already tried to start a war with North Korea and Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. He's already invaded a country with our troops without having justification. He put our troops in Syria. All right? So listen, at this point, we need to be very aware that Trump could very likely do something extremely dangerous. And if the Congress cannot act quickly, and they are certainly capable of doing something, but they haven't done it quickly. And Devin Nunes blew it when he went over to Trump's cabinet, Trump's administration, and told him about the investigation. He violated numerous laws, and Devin Nunes should be probably arrested. But we have a problem with this corrupt two-party system, and they're so slow in doing things that we are now looking at a vulnerable time when Donald Trump can try to do something else. Yeah. It's Kim Jong-un. His father already died, but that's okay. Trump said that there are worse things than assassinating Kim Jong-un. What are those worst things? And those could be, very dangerous maneuvers by Trump. So he's got access to the nuclear football. He's desperate. He knows he's going down. Now is the time to be acting quickly if Congress is listening and move toward indictments and basically remove him from office. And impeachment can be done rather quickly too in emergency session. So get on board, guys. If you're listening in Congress, do the right thing because we don't have a lot of time here. We've got a vacuum. Thankfully, we've got a good guy with General Mattis, Mad Dog Mattis, who's a strong general. And he's holding the guard out there. He's the guy that sent the Carl Vinson in a different direction and even took the heat for, mixing up his signals. No, that was not a mixed up signal. That was intelligent moves. Whenever a president makes a statement that jeopardizes our national security, our top people in the military are going to do the opposite thing. They didn't send the fleet to North Korea for a reason. They don't want to telegraph their actions. Loose lips sink ships, and Trump has got really loose lips. All right, so we're going to ban people if you come in here and you get banned. It happens. It's not something I want to do, but look at my points of attack have been the two-party system is lame duck at this point, and you've seen it play out in front of you. Lack of quick moves, lack of oversight, lack of investigations. I've been calling for an investigation into this for the past 6 months, even before Trump became president. And they haven't done enough quickly. Now, deep state leaks highly classified info to Washington Post to smear President Trump. No, Breitbart is no longer a valid source since Trump took over. Breitbart is like playing CNN when Obama was president. Breitbart and Zero Hedge are being run by the CIA and Steve Bannon. So you can't really use Breitbart links here anymore. Sorry. Yeah, and don't bring Zero Hedge links in anywhere. We actually exposed one of their authors as a CIA complete fake. He was a shill. The name was actually from. Hey, Shrek. The name was actually from. No, I don't believe this. Sorry. The denials are not going to cut it. Sorry, I'm going to mute that too. Anybody out of the presidency at this point who's denying it is full of crap. Alex Jones, Jack, is a crypto Zionist. He is married to a woman who's connected. And I got to tell you, the Jesuit order and the Zionists and the Masons, they're all connected. And they're controlling our country. And in the process, what they've done, they are trying to stop my movement. Yes, I'm sorry I purged you. I'm going to unmute you. What I've been doing, folks, is absolutely impossible. Nobody has been able to pull this off for years. I am perhaps, yes, I'm going to sue the Rolling Stone. I'm perhaps the only person capable of understanding the severity of the problem and the censorship that has gone on for 8 years and the need for me to keep doing this. And I can't stop, and I won't stop. This effort is nonstop. And my goal is to actually get this country back on track in a way that is inspiring, and in no way shuts down communication on the issues. So if you have issues on that you want to talk about, bring them up. But if you're here to slander me, welcome to the new America's Third Party. We don't take it.
We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. We can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop. We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. We can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop.
So let's be clear. In this coming election year, please vote for David Sponheim. America's Third Party.
Sponheim for president.
We can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. We can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. We can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop.
First we hit them low, then we hit them high. Underrated, but we made it to the finish line. Rhymes designed to combine and intertwine. Spring pick us up the fall, even winter time. Beats banging harder, then head on collisions. We make incisions with precision and quick decisions, causing double visions. If you ain't up to speed, you need to speed it up, partner. Piano read.
We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. We can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. We can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. We can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop and we won't stop.
In this coming election year, please vote for David Sponheim. America's Third Party.
Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, can't stop.
All right, yeah, man. Hey, I got new speakers in the show here. It's really kind of nice. I've got a brand new set of speakers for $19, and it was down from $39, so that's nice. And sounds good. I'm enjoying the interaction. Loosen your tie. Yes, I will. But well, they're not Boss speakers. They're just a decent pair of nice speakers, you know, with a bass down below it. You know, the woofer is really important. This is not a mishandling of private information, Buck Rob. This is a serious, outrageous act of treason. This is not some minor detail, in case you're wondering. It's not at all, no. I can't believe that you people don't understand the severity of this. You of all people, Buck Rob. Wow. I was swatted, yeah, a couple years ago. No, I'm not Jewish. My real name is David Sponheim. Lock up Trump. Yes, he's committed treason. Trump said, I'm too smart to let Russians hack my email. He just invited them over and handed them all classified intel. Trichomonas. Thank you. So true. Too smart to hack his email, but he handed them the information directly. People want to stop my progress, yes. My efforts have been unparalleled in U.S. history. I have gone beyond the pale of duty in breaching the censorship that's been put out in front of me. You're going to hear people say that I did a blackface video. And I did, because I needed to impersonate a black president to make satirical comments about him, because he was horrible. I basically went out hard and strong against Obama. But then the aftermath has been an amazing success. Worldwide, I'm known. People around the world talk about me, but I'm not known in my own country. I don't have a lot of money. I've got a lot of people that are talking about me. It's more important than money. Trump Gate will be the new Watergate. Yep. Yep. Exactly. I was the person that exposed Obama as a two-faced liar that he is. He's a Muslim. He's homosexual. He's married to a dude. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. I can't believe the American people have not had their word in the media about this. I have many views from around the world, yes. Yes, as president, I have enough information to pursue the person who swatted me, and you'll be surprised. You will be surprised. I have strong evidence to suggest that it might have been an inside job. I don't have 50 viewers. Mark gets millions of dollars censoring me in this show. Because this number is altered and the people in our chat room that we're communicating with are thinking that I only have a certain number of viewers, Mark has held the number down significantly for years. Yes, I think it's time to play the Joan Rivers video. I think it's appropriate to talk about the simple fact that Barack Obama is married to a dude, because ironically, that dude, Michelle, wants to run for president. Isn't that bizarre? Yeah. So we need to get this out in the open and get ahead of the Democrats putting either him, Michael Obama, or possibly even, Al Franken. I mean, I can't believe he'd want to run with the mistake he just made. He didn't prosecute Jeff Sessions for committing perjury. I mean, that alone is an unbelievable mistake. No, I think that there's something wrong about the swatting. I think there's something very fishy about the sheriff not submitting a police report. Because they didn't submit a police report, I'm beginning to wonder.
Looking at new models of getting farmers markets to, create buses and drive into communities that are underserved. Busy mother, sometimes when you
resources weren't the issue. The resources weren't the
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, sorry for the alien thing. I was just buying some time while I found the video. That was Dolphin Films. They started exposing the dude we know as Michael before Joan Rivers did, and we all know Joan Rivers lost her life over this. She was killed, and Melissa Rivers knows it. No, it's not a fake fear tactic, Max. Joan Rivers died trying to expose the truth about Michelle Obama. I can't believe you'd spin it that way. She died literally. They killed her. They sent a new surgeon in to do the biopsy on her throat, which she didn't even sign on. And the only reason why we're not hearing about it is because Melissa Rivers settled on a large cash settlement. The whole thing went to rest. But as president, I'm going to invoke information gathering from every level. The Justice Department will be very well paid for. As your president, I'm going to be doing a lot of deep research, and we'll be hiring a lot of attorneys because we've got a lot of settlements to deal with. Obviously, Melissa Rivers settling this out of court. She still has a statement she has to make to the U.S. government. We need to know more about it. I don't know. Joan Rivers dying, and I know Melissa Rivers is extremely upset about the whole thing, but settling out of court isn't going to cut this. We need something more. We need to get all the information about what happened to her mother in front of a grand jury. And we will give her total immunity, and she can still talk, even with a settlement. She's not involved. Melissa's not involved. She's just a person who settled out of court in a civil case. We have a criminal case we need to pursue. That's really the issue. I'm reading you, Fester. Why do you show those clips over and over again, Dave? Because Michelle is running for president in 2020, they say. Yeah. And you need to know that Michelle's a dude. No. Your selection of Barack Obama was a nightmare. Your selection of George W. Bush, you Republicans, was a nightmare. Your decision to put Trump in the White House with all of his business connections to Russian mobsters was a nightmare. The American people, the voters, are not informed properly. So if we get the proper information, we're not going to vote for a tranny who we think should be president, unless, of course, the American people want that. If Caitlyn Jenner would have run for president, you should be fully aware that Caitlyn Jenner is not, a dude anymore. I just want everybody to know what's going on. I knew that Barack Obama had 3 boyfriends prior that were homosexuals, and they all died, every one of them, in 2007, which is even more suspicious. The mother of one of them, this is Donald Young, he died. His apartment was shot by an unknown assailant at gunpoint in 2007 after he talked to Larry Sinclair on the phone and told him to not talk about Obama in a negative way. Well, Donald Young died, and his mom was a former bookkeeper in Chicago. She said her son was slain. She fears her son was slain to protect secrets of the pal who became president. Well, Donald Young wasn't just the only one at the Trinity United Church of Chicago that was involved with Barack Obama. There were 2 others. And all of those 2 people were both killed in 2007 as well. So we may be looking at murder charges against Barack Obama, claiming that he actually had something to do with the death of a couple people, including, here's Larry Bland, one of Barack Obama's boyfriends. He died in a hospital bed. Nate Spencer, another homosexual in the Down Low Club. This is all conspiracy stuff, yeah. We're talking about conspiracies tonight. Here are all 3 that died in 2007. And then there's obviously another real serious concern that Miriam Carey was shot 5 times in the back of the head by Secret Service on orders from Barack Obama. So we have another murder charge against Barack Obama for the death of Miriam Carey that we'll be prosecuting her on. So there is at least 4 murder charges against Barack Obama and fraud charges against against Michelle. And then as far as Hillary's concerned, I think we need to move on her connection to the Haitian situation. We know that the president of Haiti openly was bribed, threatened with bribes. They were giving him bribes, they said, and he could be testifying on this issue just to go away or to allow them to do what they needed to do in Haiti, the Clinton Global Initiative. So there's a lot of evidence there may be something there. There may be something to the Justice Scalia death that never was investigated. He didn't have an investigation at all, and he died with a pillow over his head. So this is all very much the basis for a potential case of charging murder against whoever killed Justice Scalia. at the Cibola Creek Ranch owned by Poindexter. No, these resources are going to be allocated to the Justice Department. I'm giving them full reign. But we're going to be vetting the Justice Department with lie detection and biometric analysis to verify that they're all playing fairly, that they're all doing their job. I won't allow them to be working if they've been deceptive or deceitful or lying or cheating in the past. So a lot of the old guards at the Justice Department will be rotated with good people, and good people will be doing this on the side. Meanwhile, we're going to be generating jobs in America. We have to build up our infrastructure, so we've come up with a really cool idea to help people get jobs, which are essential, and fix up houses at the same time. And really, this is the landmark solution to our problem that we came up with in 2008, we still think is very vital to our country's success. And that would be a solar rooftop revolution, including a homestead renewal plan to fix houses in the country and make America more solvent, where more people own their own houses. And let's not forget the crisis, the Pulse Club crisis actors. Thanks, Marx. I'm not forgetting the false flags that have been committed by our government as well. We'll be prosecuting all of the people involved in that. Dave, do you think Trump will be impeached? Yes, I've been saying this for months. And more importantly, Trump is in a very, very dangerous position right now because remember, he's still in charge and he's already shown a pattern of behavior that designed to divert attention from this. So don't be surprised with this major reveal that he has given state secrets to the Russians. Don't be surprised if he doesn't follow in the next couple days with a very, very disturbing thing. It could be an attack on another country. It could be anything just to take our minds off of what's happening right now. He's going to try to do that. My new ideas are so relevant and suppressed by the media that they don't want. Trump never stole these ideas. Hillary stole the solar rooftop idea, trying to come up with a new idea against Trump. But in no way did Trump want to steal the homestead renewal plan because this idea actually goes beyond the mortgage corruption that Trump is so heavily involved in. This is a loan direct to the U.S. government or from the U.S. government. We would actually handle the note on these houses. And this is not something that Trump would ever be in favor of because he's obviously owned by these mortgage companies, the same people that, essentially screwed us over, dating all the way back to Countrywide, Bank of America, and all these other areas. So these are really good ideas for the country. And I think we'll definitely be lifting ourselves up by the bootstraps in every single city in America with this homestead renewal plan. Very, very, very positive solution. So far cry from the years of lies and deceit from our current government. Now, I am a 100% people's presidential candidate. I do not listen or take calls from secret societies. We had a person in our show past couple weeks who's been saying some very strange things from a group called the Freemasons. We won't be taking calls from anybody who claims to be a Freemason anymore. And we won't be taking any calls from anybody in a secret society because, frankly, we want nothing to do with these people. Okay. Timothy, torture, drug, bug, targeted gang stalking, covert human experimentation, Morgellons, microwaves, genetic weapons, silent fear of mind control. Timothy Trespass, an innocent human victim of the New World Order. Wow. Huh. Okay, that sounds like an interesting link, Fester. I'll look at it a little later. Yeah, I'm not in any way supportive of these secret societies. They've taken us down a very long and dark pathway. We won't allow meetings with Kissinger in the White House like you saw Trump do. That's just flat out wrong. This type of behavior is inexcusable. It echoes the time called Watergate, which Nixon and Kissinger were involved in. And Al Franken will be looked at as a possible procedural error in judgment. I'm going to ask Congress to prosecute Franken for not charging Jeff Sessions with two counts of perjury. So Al Franken will be looked at as a potential collaborator with the Republicans. And he's already made statements that seem to imply that Al Franken's collaborating with the Republicans right now. Richard Simmons, hi. You say they wanted you to join the Illuminati? Wow. Okay. Richard, you can call in, and your number is perfectly safe with me. I'm not going to divulge your private number. 707, your ATP, if you want to contact me and talk publicly. Okay, another report just out. Trump revealed intelligence secrets to Russian in Oval Office. Why is that the same report all over again? Yeah, this is like we're recycling the same story over and over again. It's crazy. He looks like a guy who's 2 sheets to the wind and barely able to hold his hand straight. And he's like looking off in the distance, like, what? Yeah. U.S. President Donald Trump disclosed highly classified information with the Russian foreign minister about a planned Islamic State operation during their meeting last week. Oh, here's the details. The intelligence shared at the meeting with Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak was supplied by a U.S. ally in the fight against the militant group. The White House said the allegations first reported by the Washington Post were not true, but the story that came out tonight, as reported, is false. According to H.R. McMaster, Trump National Security Advisor, he told reporters at the White House, adding the 2 men reviewed a range of common threats, including a civil aviation. Okay, he's denying it flat out, but the bottom line is every news service out there has solid information. Officials have verified that these are, in fact, state secrets, and Trump has violated them. So we need to get a prosecuting attorney moving forward, a special prosecutor, kind of like Ken Starr when the investigation into Hillary Clinton Whitewater event and Bill Clinton's Whitewater event panned out. It's interesting to note that Ken Starr's work, the $60 million that we spent on that, ended up in a small office. All of that paperwork spent in a small office in the Oklahoma City bombing. It was at the epicenter. So there may be charges that the Clintons may have ordered had something to do with the Oklahoma City bombing to get rid of that evidence. Because all these stories are completely being suppressed left and right, and our government's under a serious review by the American people. We're all assessing this and going, we are not happy with our government. Bottom line, Dr. Meow, Trump already revealed state secrets. Nothing CNN can do to make that any better than it already is. Right. You know, this whole story about aliens, Max, I haven't seen one person who's been able to come out of the matrix here and talk about it with an actual picture of the aliens. Do you have a photograph of the aliens, Max? Mr. Anderson, you claim that you have pictures of aliens. Somehow that you've discerned that these aliens have some power over our world. Well, I asked you, Mr. Anderson, where are the photos? Not one person with 5.4 billion cameras out there can take a picture of an alien. So, Max, could you bag it for a while? Guest 206 says, what's your opinion of Sandy Hook? I personally believe that Sandy Hook was a false flag. I have supportive evidence that I could go into detail with right now, if you'd like. They took videotape, the government did, of the entire school, and there's no evidence that anyone was evacuated from the school. We know for a fact that the school was shut down for 1.5 years due to asbestos contamination. That's a recorded fact. So when we look at the story of kids dying, we want to seek bodies. There are no pictures of bodies. And we all know the debacle of the press meeting that the coroner who was laughing and giggling the whole time. So what they were trying to do, it's pretty obvious, is push a false flag event, a media event, to claim that we need guns and somehow, or we need to stop guns. That's what they keep saying. Gun control was behind the Sandy Hook thing. Yeah, that's the alien autopsy pictures were originally from.
The following program deals with controversy.
And I'll take that into consideration. I'll play that tonight. These alien autopsy photographs have been debunked a couple times as being fake, but I'll be glad to play them in our show.
The following.
That'll be later tonight. Cool. All right, Max. you know, you could claim that the entire moon is a dark star and it was constructed by aliens, Max. But I could show you a lot more interesting stuff about how marijuana is beneficial to people. Completely different subject. Okay, we don't take calls from white supremacists or hollow hoaxers. So, Jason, you can never call here again. Don't bother calling. I won't ever take your call. You're going to have to learn how to say no. Yeah? Unless you can realign your thinking to understand that many people died during the Holocaust, you're wasting my time. After NSA hacking expose, CIA staffers asked where Equation Group went wrong. Well, that's not enough, because it looks to me like the NSA may be behind this recent ransomware release, and it's not enough to ask where did the agency go wrong. Not after Edward Snowden. Now heads are going to roll and people need to be fired because they're releasing information that could be used against anybody. And my theory is that the NSA purposely did this so that they couldn't be fingered in any number of hacks across the globe. That they opened up the tools to everybody and they handed them to WikiLeaks and they put them out on the internet because they didn't want to be blamed for anything with a footprint, that only they would have that knowledge. Very interesting theory. Yes, I really like organic cashew crackers, yeah. Cashew had a little problem, a lawsuit that they settled out of, and they came out of it a better company. I've tracked cashew ever since I was, started eating organics and non-GMO food. I've represented organic food back in the early 80s. I was a marketing person for food distribution, and I felt that people needed to eat organic, and non-GMO was a later invention when we found out that the government was allowing Monsanto and Dow to genetically modify practically everything. No, I think the NSA has got a lot of problems, and I think they need to, releasing Vault 7 to the WikiLeaks group, which is, I probably would have to say that is also owned by the NSA because they own a lot. They buy things with printed money. Everything, even social networks, are beginning to seem like they're completely run by our government. Look at Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, joining the Department of Defense. I mean, it's obvious. It's right in your face. The shell corporation In-Q-Tel owns these companies, and they've been using this control to help DARPA produce profiles on all of us, which is completely illegal, violate our privacy, which is completely illegal, warrantless wiretapping, which is completely illegal. This has been going on for years. We have no accountability. Our two-party system has been moot on the issue. We haven't had a third party to fight for the American people and to stop this evil, persistent evil against our freedom and individuality and privacy. I agree. There's a lot of unused potential garden space in America that could be used to produce organic foods. Totally. In fact, my plan is to develop the National Composting Plan. And it's a simple concept, really, is to take any kind of food waste, including hemp, and put it to use by building up soil. And we run vehicles that run on biofuel like hempoline. And the National Composting Plan will be born in every single city in America. We're going to produce these things, and will emerge out of this matrix which we have, which is doing nothing to solve this incredible problem. And as far as Monsanto and Dow are concerned, I'm going to have them sitting in my office, and I'm going to talk to them realistically about completely turning into a non-toxic company base. No longer will they be descendants of the chemical warfare industry. Bayer just recently bought up Monsanto. We're going to make sure that these people know that if you're going to build solutions for garden problems like pests and weeds, they have to be non-toxic to humans. There's no way we continue down this path. We are killing the planet. No one in the world, in our current government, is fighting as strong as I am right now, just building this third party to stop these people. Bottom line is, I'm not going to be naming and blaming people. I won't be using words like Trump tards and libtards when I get some mainstream media attention. I'm going to be rolling into the world of let's talk. Let's no longer name and blame, because I'm beyond that. I cannot sit here and just hate on people because you voted for Trump. I know why you voted for Trump. He stole 10 of my ideas. I understand you don't want refugees in the country. That's my idea. No refugees. The 1,000-mile fence, that was my idea in 2008. I measured the miles needed to put up a defense against an oncoming onslaught of dangerous immigration. Trump stole the idea, and then somebody said, how are you going to pay for it? And he didn't have an answer. So he said, Trump said that Mexico is going to pay for it. All of these things roll back to me. So there was a reason why you voted for Trump. He had my ideas, okay? And I'm not going to implement them the way he tried to implement them. He had no plan. He had no forethought. He had no previous planning to deal with an immigration crisis. And we're still seeing people coming in through the UN resettlement plan that Obama had. He hasn't even stopped that. And he's made it very difficult for people to fly in here who have green cards, and just arriving in a plane is a nightmare for these people. DARPA is advanced tech. Speaking of advanced tech, we're going to go into our chat room right now, and AI might join us. You never know. So the National Composting Plan is one idea that we have that's really good. The Homestead Renewal Plan I mentioned to you earlier, it's another good one. We also have a plan called the Mobile Medical Unit Plan. The Mobile Medical Unit Plan is fantastic. Trump stole that idea as well, claiming it was his. But it really is the bypass for the American medical problem and the healthcare crisis that we're facing today. Thank you, guys. I'm glad you're finally coming on board with getting me to the presidency, because this has been a disaster with Trump sidetracking us. Mobile medical units will also include more public doctors, and you will pay a copay of $30 to be seen at one of these things, but they'll give you a full blood test and a diet plan, and suggestions as to how to avoid certain things that you may be predisposed to getting, like diabetes or heart disease. Now, the mobile medical units will also include a public option, and that's something that I don't support. A single payer plan. It's punitive to business and employees. I support a plan where if you really want to afford a basic plan with no middlemen, no private insurers, the public option will offer $50 per month per person to get full medical and full dental, and we'll be offering all this through the VA system and the mobile medical system, and an expanded system at public hospitals and nonprofit hospitals. So this is going to be a pretty interesting series of solutions that will, generate the kind of solutions that will save our nation from the ripoff of Medicaid that Trump is now trying to ask for $800 billion in cuts. We can't just cut it. We have to come up with an alternative. People will be able to participate from the chat room itself. We can take people's resumes through our website and begin filtering in people that want to work in these organizations. Some of you may have medical experience, may want to work in your mobile medical unit as an EMT. Some of you may want to work at the National Composting Plan, making $10 an hour initially, or maybe even $15 an hour. We're not sure what the fee will be, because really $10 an hour is really set up for our Homestead Renewal Plan with no experience whatsoever. But a lot of these ideas will be generating buzz over the next few years, and there's a reason why I came up with them in 2008, because I was ready to go in 2008. But since I've been censored in my own country for the past 8 years, it's difficult to get these things rolling. It really is. Oh, totally. Sack printer. Legalization of pot will be a big part of our plan. We know that marijuana is very medicinal, and it should not be on the list of controlled substances. So I will officially make it possible for anybody to grow marijuana legally, up to 4 plants, kind of like California has, in the U.S. I think 6 plants. If it's 6 plants nationwide, the states will allow 6 plants legally. But the goal is to be able to help people, provide it for their own purposes. And if they have a little extra, they could give it away. But if they sell it, they have to pay a 10% surcharge or a tax to the U.S. government. We'll make that very easy to do. Now, if people sell it and make money and not pay the tax, you will be prosecuted. I'm looking at the laws now for like the state of Maine. It'll be very similar to the laws we will have for the country at large. Well, thank you for wanting to do the best you can to help me. I appreciate it. Well, this whole process wouldn't be even happening if you guys weren't in there swinging every night, talking to me and participating in this evolving political movement. I know. Washington is a compost heap for sure. There's so much corruption that I can't even begin to touch it. When we talk about Pizzagate on our show, some people are brainwashed into thinking that's fake news. The Pizzagate is actually the corruption that's going on that we can't get investigations on, that the government doesn't want to investigate pedophiles in D.C. And when they run into them and they get Dennis Hastert, you'd think they'd want to do something. They give him 1.5 years in jail for sodomizing 4 boys. Yeah, go ahead. Who's this? Oh. Jason, don't call anymore. I told you I don't talk to holohotzers. Now, I don't need any donations right now, but if you want to donate to America's Third Party, you have to be a U.S. citizen. Pizzagate has nothing to do with fat kids eating pizza. I don't have any kind of a effect on me. I'm impervious to insults. I don't think you understand. I'm a metacognitive person who thinks on a higher level. And when you call me names or make fun of my hair, it's meaningless to me. I'm rolling along at a 99 miles an hour, and you guys want to throw little toothpicks in front of me. If you throw a wrench in front of me, I might feel it, but you won't in any way get through. We don't need to get any calls from you, Jason. You're becoming a pest. No one ever said no to you, apparently. I don't have a problem with you expressing issues on an issue-by-issue basis, but slander is not something I'm going to encourage here. All right, Macaulay Culkin eating a pizza, and the look of his face is very odd. Yeah, I remember seeing this. And his obsession with pizza really belies a deeper issue. Possibly he was manipulated or molested as a child. I mean, all these things. First of all, the Soviets have nothing to do with, or the Russians have nothing to do with what I'm doing. I have no connection and never will with the Russian government. I won't take calls. I would never do business with Russian mobsters. It's just not in my agenda. I'm not materialistic, so I won't be conducting a business out of the White House unless it's actually to help the White House finance its operation and be less of a burden on the taxpayer. We've talked about making beer in the White House and selling six-packs, collector's six-packs. We talked about having a buffet in the White House where you could actually go there without seeking approval from your congressman and just get there and have a security clearance check on your body to get you through. So we scan you for any explosives. And then you get a chance to go in there and actually sit there in the buffet and check out my collection of artwork on the side of the walls and eat a wonderful meal. I plan on turning the entire buffet room into my collection, kind of like the presidential library. And you get to look at these things and buy collector's items when you leave. The price will be like $14.95 all day long. Will be a breakfast, brunch buffet, lunch buffet, and a dinner buffet. It'll all be different ingredients at various times, but it'll be the same price. I think Dennis Rodman as an alternative to nothing is better than nothing. You suggested we send Dennis Rodman in to talk to the North Koreans? Yeah. I won't be selling Beanie Babies at the front counter, no. Well, Max, we don't allow you to come in here and promote yourself. So unless you stop doing that, you can, not come in here anymore. I'm not going to be cooking. I'll have too much stuff to do. I mean, we'll hire professional cooks to do the cooking. I teach you how to make really affordable meals. And in the process, I've been winning a lot of viewers over to my way of cooking, which is rather quickly. I don't really pay too much attention to detail. And I put together pretty nice meals, I think, for very affordable prices. So if you want to check those out, you can go to youtube.com/DavidJohn Sponheim, Jon Sponheim. And I've got a recent video out there called Salmon Cakes and Cuke Salad if you want to check out last week's. This week will be Speed Getty. I'm teaching people how to do Speed Getty in less than 30 minutes. Banning more trolls is not the goal here. I'm opening up new chat all the time. I don't want people to feel like they're being kept out because Vaughn is keeping many people out with the banning VPNs across the globe. A massive fire at a Manhattan synagogue is under investigation.
Fire has destroyed a historic synagogue in Manhattan, New York. The blaze caused the roof of the building to collapse. There were no people inside at the time. The temple was built in the early 1850s and is considered to be a New York landmark. The city issued an emergency alert for nearby residents, urging them to close their windows and stay at home.
Okay. Yeah, and then this story, the truth actually aired in 81. Why would the elites allow it? They don't think that we have the ability to stop them. That's why they allow it.
You want to know how you get away with a lie? Or a mountain of lies?
Okay, just ask Donald Trump. He's an expert on that. Let me take a look at that a little bit later. Thank you. Yeah, good job, chat room. You're improving. I like that. You're getting better at what you're doing. We fight through a lot of people thinking they're going to stop me because they're going to crap on our show. Nothing can stop me, and I've been doing this for so long that it's like throwing a toothpick in front of a steamroller, and you're not going to even get near to stopping me. I did not have anything to do with 9/11. Hey, look, I'm an average American like everyone here. Most of you are average Americans. So why are we hating on each other? And I'm not going to hate on you if you are now finally realizing that Trump really is working for the Russians. Okay? I'm not going to judge you. And believe me, waking up takes a lot of effort. And I admire people that are starting to ask questions. Nice look. Well, this is actually a $1 tie I got at Walmart. It's a George tie that was sold for $1 at Walmart in the bargain rack that's in the front of the store. I said, Sarah, there's a tie there that I really want. It's like, yeah, I'm going to get it. And the shirt's a very nicely made Italian shirt. So I don't pay more than a few dollars for my shirts because I buy them at thrift stores. I'm not afraid to admit that. Putin called Lazarov tonight about leaked info, and he answered, if you don't know about it, how can I know? No, whatever. Dr. Meow, please don't quote Putin here. It's irrelevant, all right? No, Froggy, Trump really is selling secrets to the Russians. You've been muted for the next 15 minutes. Ransomware locks down kidnapped files unless a Bitcoin is put in. Well, that's what they say. But WannaCry ransomware loses its kill switch, so watch out. Yeah. Somebody went in and broke down the site that this thing was emanating from. It'll take more than a lucky break to stop the malware that has hit more than 200,000 computers worldwide so far. Okay, what you need to be aware of is don't click the screen offering a way out. That's always a phishing scam, and a ransomware does just that. They claim your computer's been infected. The best way to deal with your computer infected is just put a new hard drive in it and pop the old one out and just throw it in the garbage. But if your keylogging has gone on and you've already been stung, you need to change your passwords rapidly and contact support. Gold 1230, silver 1666, making a little trip up, and the Dow Jones migrating back up to 21, still at 20,981. Well, a simple restore, a system restore, it seems like it's simple, John, but even a corrupted hard drive cannot always function if the startup sequence and the boot sequence has been contaminated with a virus. Even with system restore, you're going to have problems. But that's definitely a first step. Your first step is really to clean your cache, and getting a simple cleaner like CCleaner would be a start in the right direction. If your computer is almost disabled, you know that computer that was languishing for weeks now, we replaced it with this one. It finally died this morning. I actually lost the video card on it. So I'm going to pop a new video card in that and maybe look at a new hard drive and new operating system. Hoping to get it running. Because it's got 24 gigs of RAM in that old computer. And it's not that old. It's an i7 4th generation, so it should still run. There are BIOS viruses that don't need your hard drive to reinfect. Exactly. So it may actually be in your BIOS, and maybe a new hard drive will be infected too. So that's a problem. They say that the government's already implanted a hack into everyone's BIOS. That's what they say. Hackers are holding Disney's latest Pirates of the Caribbean for ransom. Wow. Apparently, Disney's upcoming Johnny Depp movie, Pirates of the Caribbean, has been pilfered by the ransom hackers seeking payment from the studio. Hackers demanded an enormous amount to be paid to Bitcoin. Disney is currently working with the FBI and will not pay. And I understand Johnny Depp is looking for money. He's been doing cameo appearances at the Disneyland in Anaheim, at the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Did you hear about that? You know, he got taken to the slammer for a lot of money by women. I mean, there's no jail time, but he just lost a lot of money, and he's trying to build up his assets now. I would love to hit social media hard, but we've had a lockdown on our Twitter account for this past 6 years, and our YouTube account has been locked down as well. We have the same number of subscribers and followers on Twitter and in the past 6 years.
I'm just not a social media guru.
Yeah, I mean, at some point we'll be probably soliciting the help of people who are experts in this field, but right now we can't get past the censorship. Sarah's here. Hang on, I gotta get rid of this. Okay. And I think I'm gonna get rid of the matrix. It's getting kind of trippy in here, man. So a lot of weird things have happened in the past day. People are processing this information. It's almost overwhelming. I would love to have something that would give us some sense of purpose, like conspiracy-like, but so far none of these things do anything for Sarah. She wants to get a different background. You want to pick a good background for us here?
Yeah, I like this background.
It's black?
Yeah.
Okay. What about this one? Is that okay? Is it adequate? Not really.
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yes to no, correct. Pretty much.
Thank you. Yes, I'm conservative on economic issues and liberal on social issues. That's correct. That defines what I am, a centrist.
He doesn't want to spend a whole lot of government money, but he wants to take care of the American people.
Absolutely.
Sarah does not always agree. Sarah does not agree with David about Sandy Hook being a hoax.
We have different perceptions, and we came together on the ideas to fix the country in our book, Hybrid Capitalism, which we have on sale at America's Third Party in our store. It's a 99-cent download, and you can actually buy a paperback like this big, for $14.99 still.
Yes, we did have a really relaxing Sunday. Thank you for asking.
We have a lot of things we can talk about. Yeah, it's just crazy how many people are now aware that Trump really is trying to screw the country over with Russia.
I don't know if David and I disagree on single-payer health care. I believe in
I don't support it, no.
Oh, I guess we do.
I
support it.
I support a public option, and I don't want to drain 7.5% from businesses that are already nearly suffering, along with 7.5% from employees that are suffering to pay for people that don't want to work. So the public
I
option
guess
to
I
me is
don't
better.
mind working and paying for people that don't want to work, so I don't mind that.
Yeah, I just think that there's a better way to trim the cost of healthcare by going aggressively after the cost of healthcare. The rising cost of healthcare is really the problem, and medical ripoff is the big problem. And a public option, to me, is far more effective in getting more people affordable healthcare. I mean, Dr. Ryan from Oklahoma, he has about 25 doctors working for him right now. He was going to visit us in his Tesla. He said, I want to visit you guys. But he's the kind of guy that I would actually put on the project of building the public option. And if you don't want to pay for a public option, $50 a month to give you full medical and benefits and dental benefits included, then we would give you full care as a Medicaid recipient. You would be automatically covered there too. So don't worry about mandatory anything with these plans. They're nothing like Barack Obama's Obamacare. And you won't be prosecuted or given a tax of $2,500 to pay if you don't have health care insurance. That'll stop. Trump's already said he's going to stop that.
That's true to know.
$50 a month is doable, and it can cover the basic costs of public health care. We anticipate 20 million users. We're hoping 20 million people will pay $50 a month, but if not, we'll have anywhere from $10 to $12 billion to work with the first year. I'm 6'4". Thank you so much. I'll be back. And let me type this in here so that we are ready to go if we need to. Okay. And then this link right here, let's see what this is.
What's the rest of it, I guess?
Yeah, that's whatever.
I don't get it.
I don't get it. Let's just X out of that for now. Yeah, we'll get that another time. Sorry.
I don't really understand. It's a grammar thing. I get it now. Thank you, Scissorfight. Help me. It's helping him with his grammar. No, I do not believe that Sandy Hook was a hoax. I don't believe that the Holocaust was a hoax. There's many conspiracy theories that I completely disagree with. David Nation, if you want me to go back to Europe, I would want you to go back to Jamaica. Thank you, Misanthropy, for changing the song to a Sarah song. Thank you, Monkey. Right? Correct, Dino. Alright, what do I think about ice cream vendors? Should ice cream trucks be unbanned? Well, as long as they're not breeding factories for diseases, like happened with one of the big ice cream companies. Oh, tater tots. I do know some teachers like tater tots. I'm not a big tater tot person, though, myself. Yeah. I'm not saying ice cream vending trucks, printer, no. But there were, and actually it wasn't the vending trucks that were to blame. There was, however, an ice cream company that had to go out of business because their ice cream manufacturing process created bad ice cream. Actually, it wasn't the bad, well, yes, it was, it created, oh goodness, what was the disease? They had salmonella, I believe. Yes. It's true. It was Bluebell ice cream that went out of business, and it wasn't even, was it salmonella? No, it was worse than salmonella. It was bad. Listeria. Thank you, Bakra. Thank you, David Nation, and I agree. We need more people like you in America. So let's both stay in America. I won't go back to Europe because I've never been to Europe in my entire life. You probably have been to Jamaica, but I have never been to Europe. Yes, correct, printer. It was the factory conditions. It was not the end user or the vendors. So I think ice cream trucks are perfectly fine. They do usually charge a lot more money at the ice cream trucks than they do at the regular place. And I'm sure there are more ice cream trucks that are going to come around. during the summer months. At least that's what happens up here. Yep. Now you can't get an ice cream truck to stop for you if you're just waving quarters around, Rex. I think you have to have some massive dollar bills to get an ice cream. Is $5 too much? That's about what they charge around here, John. No. Well, actually, I'd say 75 cents or $1. It does cost money to drive around. Yes. Well, I know, Dano. Actually, the third year gets easier. Actually, the second year will get easier as long as you don't take on any leadership commitments. Oh, goodness. Every 2 weeks or so. David Nation, I bet you might be surprised if you ever do make it to Europe. A lot of restaurants are opposed to the ice cream vendors because it costs them business and the vendors don't pay rent. Well, then I would say they could have a vendor that is so you have to be at least 25 feet from a restaurant if you're going to be a vendor. How about that? I'm in Washington State. Oh, Charles, that's pretty funny. Yes, and to know the thing that gets easier, one, do you assign homework? Do you grade your homework? If the answer to those questions is yes, and you teach elementary school, rethink. And actually, just assign one but I thought you're teaching middle school math. Even if you're teaching middle school math, you don't have to grade the homework. You don't have to grade everything. And actually, science, you shouldn't be just teaching facts. There's a really good book I recommend. Actually, the reason I recommend it is because I went to a recent training on the next generation science standards. And I realize that it's true. Most people like me did not realize that the next generation science standards were actually created. I didn't realize this until I went to for science education K-12, I believe. Let me look. If your principal is saying that you have to follow the curriculum, you should you should secretly buy this book for your principal. No, just send your principal this link from an anonymous email. No. Anyway, you don't have to buy the book. You can actually, when you go on that site, look in the upper left-hand corner and there's a download the free PDF, and there's also read online. And that book is what the next generation science standards are based on. And I know you have to follow curriculum. Most districts make you do that. Fortunately, I'm in a district that, there you go. I'm in a district that believes in standards and following the standards and using what teaching tools we need to use in order to teach the standards. You think I'm I always social justice warrior snowflake. Whatever. I don't really mix politics, 880. I try not to. No, in fact, I was going to kill some spiders the other day. I know they're not insects, but David decided not to. I haven't heard that, printer. I do both grading and assigning and grading. No, 796. It's just the standards. Yes, always hands-on science. So, and hands-on math. Anyway, David saved the spiders, which was good. I ended up not killing the spiders. But you teach middle school math. Just remember that your students are young and only give 10 minutes of math per, well, and that's not even realistic, anyway. Like, how much homework would you want to do when you get home? I don't know. Okay, 5 problems a night, that's good. All right, good. That's good. Just remember that they have homework from all the other teachers too. And make sure you work through those problems yourself to make sure that they only take you like 20 minutes tops. Oh, you think so, 195? Well, I encourage you to go become a substitute teacher in a public school. Well, then that's good. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's not their fault they have hormones, John. I only took pre-calculus printer twice. No, 3 times. No, maybe 4. I never actually took calculus. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't like the name misanthropy. You might. 489, but that's okay. You could earn it back. It's all about the makeup work. But most spiders aren't blood sucking. Most spiders just eat insects, unless you're talking about that. Oh, 685. Come do all of our grading. And just like Dano says, Dano has to, he works till 6:30 at night, gets to school. You usually typically work an hour and a half every day beyond what the students are there. That's your contracted time. And then you have to plan, you have to grade, and pretty much teachers work so much that they work the hours that they get off in the summer. That's because they already worked those hours during the 9 months, because they put in a lot of extra hours. And that's not, well, 6:30 is how late he stays at school. It's not about, it's also taking home papers to grade. And when he gets home, he's thinking about work all the time. Sure. Exactly, Rex. Good point, 344. And good point, Froggy. I just encourage you to go become a substitute teacher. Just, substitutes. And the thing about substitutes is they get to leave everything at work because they're required to, because they can't take anything home, because they're not going into the same classroom the next day. Oh, yeah. Wow. Well, John, I'm glad. I would be a little frustrated, but I'd be like, actually, thank you for pointing out flaws in my formulas. There you go. You can go be a substitute in South Carolina and make $60 a day. $60 is not bad at all. I agree. Pretty good. Just go to South Carolina? Go to South Carolina, just, do the $60 a day and see what see what it's like. That's pretty cool, Froggy. Yeah, that's a good point too, 345. I believe your mom was a wonderful teacher. It all depends. Some places do pay their teachers pretty well, and some places don't. Oh, that's good. BCTF and BC, British Columbia. Yes, fortunately, there is a gym class, which is really good. Thank you. High five to you, Froggy, and to your mom. Happy belated Mother's Day to your mom. Wow, so they do pay pretty well in Canada. Yeah, when you were young, you thought the teachers lived at the school, and at times it feels like that. Wow, that is amazing, Mad Dog. That's pretty cool. Yes, so teachers that have time off during the summer, they are they do things like they go to extra trainings. I'll be taking some trainings. And they also plan for the next school year. Oh, when cost of living is taken into effect, Michigan. That is not necessarily truth. What test are you looking at, Bag End Audio? Oh, good. Just one. That's going to be so awesome to know, to do just one. It's kind of like you do one prep. And the thing about, and you probably realize this now that you've been teaching your first full year, middle school, whatever you want your children to do well in middle school or high school, or you want the best of the teachers, schedule those courses for the end of the day. Because then the teachers have been teaching it all day and getting better and better and better. Yeah, sometimes the equations are tricky in 8th grade math. It's true. I would probably like math, teaching even middle school math, except because I like the content, but the hormones in middle school is just a little too much for me. It's kind of interesting. I'm not saying that morning classes aren't good, because in the morning, actually, the kids are ready to learn, but I'm just saying that the teacher, it's kind of funny though, because in the afternoon, the kids are so rowdy that even though the teacher's gotten better because of practice, the rowdiness of the kids kind of detracts from that goodness. So maybe it all washes out. Yes, you should start studying 880. Start by reading the encyclopedia, or get this book, Cultural Literacy, What Every American Needs to Know. No, 719. No, that's not legal in our state, Sabre. It's legal in other states. Wow. Well, I'm glad that they have a quality teacher at a public school. Morning kids and afternoon teachers classes. Exactly. It all depends. As long as the teacher is teaching the same subject over and over. That's the thing. When kids are too fidgety to pay attention, well, I talk to them. and I remind them to sit down, and it's tough. 786 is just tough. I don't know. It all depends on the day. Yes, exactly, John Uncaged. Because mathematics is the pursuit of laziness. And that's what formulas are. If you can take everything, and I can take pretty much everything up through 8th grade math, and draw a picture of it, it's so great. And that's what, even like the lines, everything, it's all about drawing a picture, because that's what math is. It's to explain the world around us. Do private school educators make more than public school educators? I'll tell you this about private school educators. It all depends on the private school. Sometimes, yes, they make more because people are paying them directly out of their pocket. So yes, sometimes they make more. Sometimes they don't. But the big thing about private school versus public school, at least in my state, is that private school teachers have less requirements as far as what they have to know than public school teachers. In a public school setting, the government can mandate what is required of a public school teacher. So for instance, they can say, you have to take this test and this test and this test, and then after 5 years, you have to do this program. And after that, you need to take so many clock hours and professional development courses. I agree, 673, like I said, it depends on the private school. And some private schools teachers can make more, but some private school teachers can make less. It all depends on the private school. It all depends on the private school to know. In our state, you don't need all the bachelor's degree and a teaching credential unless the private school requires you to get that. In here, you, yes, or say a private school, they say you need a bachelor's degree to teach. Well, in a public school, you need a bachelor's degree. You need to pass 2 different tests. And then you need to take your praxis test, which is a 3rd test. So in Washington State, you have to pass 3 different tests and have a bachelor's degree in order to in order to get your teaching certificate. And then if you get a full-time job, then after 3 years, they consider you like a resident, kind of like doctors. And then after 3 years, then you have to do another program, and you have to pay out of your pocket for all the tests and the program. And it's called a pro-teach. And then after the pro-teach, if you pass it, you become a professional teacher. And then after you become the professional teacher, you still have to do so many clock hours in order to retain your teaching certificate. So yes, basically private school teachers can be less informed and less prepared. Not saying that they are. Oftentimes there's incredible private school teachers. And one of the things that I like about private school is oftentimes people say, oh, well, these kids that went to private school, they do so much better on the tests. Is it really the school, or is it really the parents? Because when you start with private school, usually there's a cost involved to the parents, and the parents are willing to pay that price. And you have those parents who are informed and involved in their child's education. And teachers do a great job, but they are only around a certain amount they have a certain limited time every single day to spend with the child. Whereas parents are such a huge influence on the child's life forever. Yes, it depends on the private school. It depends on their accreditation. It pretends on what they want. It's just one of those things. Because people like what I'm talking about, 776. I don't know why the viewer count is flashing on and off really fast. I'm not a programmer. I wish I were. Yes, so sad that these days school is about how much can your parents help you with homework, and it's not necessarily fair to kids when their parents can't help them with homework. I would have you looked into know, speaking of which, you teach math. Have you looked into flipping your classroom? Requirements for teaching daycare as follows must be what? No, it all depends. Usually the requirements for teaching daycare, they also have laws that guide them. It all depends on the state. It all depends on the government. That's why it's really important to have people in there. Yes, I know, Dano. Trigger you, make you upset, 990, or trigger you, make you no, flipping your classroom is an idea of doing. What about an IB diploma? I don't know what IB stands for. You're right, Zellfire. I think it all depends, Zellfire. I think that teachers always want to help their students. Teachers aren't allowed to help their students with the state test, and sometimes it is better to let a student struggle because that's what is learning. Yeah, well, one of the things I've read is Teach Like a Champion 2.0. That's a good one. Yeah, I'm sure she was, Froggy. All right. Yes, what would you say that's boring? What would you like to talk about? I can read since it's Monday, we can do Bible trivia. No, I don't. Do you know what an ELR is, 201? You probably don't. Oh, International Baccalaureate? Thank you. It's not required in the state to have an International Baccalaureate. Euler was a great mathematician. All right. I'm just trying to get it. Yes, in Washington State too. I know, I don't agree with the whole idea of slavery. All right, I will. Who was a queen in biblical times who was famous for her beauty, splendor, and wealth? She traveled from afar to visit King Solomon. Correct, 184. The Queen of Sheba. Well, I believe that homeschooling can compare. I would encourage all people who homeschool to have their children take the state tests in order to see how they compare. And sometimes homeschooling can do an even better job than a regular education because the biggest impact on a child's education is one-on-one adult teacher student interaction, and sometimes that becomes really difficult the more students that you put in a classroom. So it all depends on the parents. Okay, I don't know what gives. That's kind of funny. It might be some lag happening. Social interaction, some districts have homeschool connections where they can come in for certain classes that maybe the parents are really strong at math but are not at ELA, and the parents can actually either co-teach or do things. And there's also sports. Sports are a great way to get your children involved with social interaction. Okay, new clue. In the Old Testament, what was a password used by the Israelites? It was chosen because their enemies could not pronounce it. It is an often repeated slogan. It also means an arbitrary test to prove membership in a group? It was a code. It's a certain word starting with a S. It's not shalom, but it does start with SH. Sando Voladina has it right. It's Shibboleth. 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 A password used by the Israelites. I know. Good job, Sando Voladina. All right. In the book of Exodus, what was the mountain that Moses ascended to receive the tablets of the law, the 10 Commandments from God? God shrouded the mountain in a cloud and made thunder, lightning, and trumpet blasts come forth from it. Correct. 836 and 796 and 591. Mount Sinai. The Israelites were commanded to stay away from it while Moses went into God's presence. And meanwhile, while he was gone, they took all their gold and melted it down to a golden calf and decided to worship that. And then when Moses came down the mountain, he was pretty upset. And so then he broke all the 10 Commandments into little tiny pieces. And then he had to go up the mountain again. No, 673. None of this gets into the... This isn't in there. But there is... Well, in 7th grade, they do have to know allusions to certain things in order to see new ways of interpreting things. So there is allusions to the Bible in 7th grade, from what I understand. All right. In the book of Genesis, what was the 2 evil cities that God destroyed with a rain of fire and brimstone? Brimstone is sulfur. Correct, John Uncaged. Before the destruction, God sent 2 angels in the form of men to advise all good men to leave the evil towns. Correct, Sodom and Gomorrah. God's messengers found only one good man, Lot, whom they transported from Sodom to the countryside with his wife and daughters, warning them not to look back. When Lot's wife, not heeding the warning, looked back, she became a pillar of salt. Sodomy was supposedly practiced in the wicked city of Sodom.
That coat looks so good on you, and it's a waterproof coat, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It looks so...
Good job.
It's a good choice, yeah.
All right, here's David. Thank you for listening to me. I talked a lot about education.
Thank you. Excellent.
Sorry.
She looks like Jacqueline Smith tonight, yeah.
Oh, thank you. And maybe it's a Jacqueline Smith coat. I don't know.
Yeah, really. Good
All right,
discussion.
here is David. Well, for me it was, but that's just because I like the idea of education. And then someone else came in and said, what I learned tonight is talking about education is boring.
Yeah.
I had fun, though.
Good.
So that's what matters.
Well, you're involved in education, so it's a very fun thing for you to talk about, which is good. You know, at least you have something you're interested in.
Yeah.
There's some food in the kitchen if you want anything. It's up to you. It's just a little shrimp, but you may not like the other part. So just, yeah. Egg is one of the most affordable protein out there, and Sarah just doesn't like eggs for some reason. I got to the point where I was making eggs in the morning for 2 years straight. It was ridiculous, and I had an egg every morning for breakfast when I was a young lad. And I got that really sickening feeling like I can't eat eggs anymore. But then I went back to eggs, and it's kind of like a love-hate relationship. Well, I mean, you can do so much with eggs, and they're a fixer. You know, they basically.
And they're
like in quiches, mostly eggs. That's quiches are wonderful pies to make. I'd love to make a quiche. I'd have to, bake it, and it takes time. Well, the key to not getting involved with ransomware is to not go on the internet and pick up your email from people you think are sending you emails. Also, don't click on any executable links, whatever you do, and don't travel anywhere. If you believe that the site is a ransomware and it's got every bit of your information, then ignore it. Pull your hard drive out and restrike your hard drive, and then change your passwords at every one of your secure sites. It's been altered. Yeah, we know it was going to morph. We know that a lot of this stuff is morphing, but we're tracing it to the NSA, which is extremely disturbing. Now, why they're not self-policing, I don't know. Mad Dog had a poblano pepper coated in egg and stuffed with cheese and ranchero sauce. Wow, and that's a pretty good meal. Are you still in the aftercare at the hospital, or are you cooking for yourself now? Mad Dog's basically getting over an operation, which he's been doing well. You're cooking for yourself. Good. Right on, man. You're able to take on some more involved peppers. Poblanos are pretty mild. That definitely would be good for your GI tract as opposed to habaneros. Green peppers are the most mild. Anaheims are second. Poblanos are third. You lost 29 pounds already? Oh, that's amazing, man. You lost 64 pounds since your surgery? Wow. Well, be sure you take your juice drinks and rehydrate your electrolytes, because that's a lot of weight to lose really fast, man. That is, congratulations, but you got to be careful. Oh, since you started working out plus the surgery. Oh, okay, cool. That's good. Well, if you lost 200 pounds in 30 days, John, that's pretty serious. I mean, that's going to affect your system pretty fast. Really? I've probably lost... Israel did 9/11. There we go. This guy believes that Israel did 9/11. Mossad was there taking pictures that day.
Israel did 9/11. AIPAC is treason. Anyone who supports any dual Israeli citizens inside the United States government is guilty of treason. Israel did 9/11. AIPAC is treason. AIPAC is treason.
Right on there.
Dual Israeli citizens run the United States government, and they are part of an organized criminal network that controls the banks, the media, the military-industrial complex, the intelligence agencies, and they carry out acts of war against the American people, including the false flag attacks of September 11, 2001. Thank you very much. Get out of our country. God bless.
Huh. That is wild, man. Yeah, I'm against the Zionist takeover of our country, and the more we look into the history of the 9/11 attack, the more we begin to realize that this could very well be a cover-up. The 9/11 Commission report could have been a cover-up, which is a very serious indictment of our own government. You're convinced too of that? The Zionists that controlled Hitler and brought his rise to power, and Hitler was a Zionist too. His father was one of these Ashkenazis. Anyway, these people have embedded themselves around Trump, and we've got to have to expurge them from the administration. There's no other way. So everybody, including Pence, may be complicit in their relationship with the Jewish mobs in Russia that are Zionists. Very likely could be a connection. Well, who's to blame for the 9/11 cover-up would be Baker. James Baker would be the number one person I would blame. He was the point man on the commission. But he's getting old now, but he's still very powerful. I can't do an Oprah voice, no. I can't sound like a woman who's incredibly wealthy and now wants to become president because she thinks she wants more money. We've already had that with Trump. So I can't really do an Oprah voice. I couldn't do a Trump voice either. I do discuss the black nobility that is run by the Rothschilds. In fact, I can bring up the photograph of some of the black nobility for you, connected to 9/11, ironically, through their name. Many people don't understand this, but there is a group called 9/11, the Order of the Garter. And here's a picture of them all sitting together. Now, if you look up the word 9/11 Order of the Garter and type that into a search engine, if you want to use DuckDuckGo, that would be one way. You'll actually see a really informative site all about the black nobility and the Venetian royalty that run the Bilderberg Group from within. And how they control our foreign policy is through groups like the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission. No, I have not, Mad Dog. I have not seen that yet. Hacksaw Ridge. Yeah, well, blaming the Saudis is an easy thing. The Saudi 28-page document that Trump said he had that pretty much derailed Jeb Bush and the campaign pretty much was a shoe probably thrown at him by the Pentagon. So I wouldn't doubt Roger Stone gave him that 28-page document. He has connections to the Pentagon. So Trump got that and pretty much derailed Jeb Bush in the campaign, but it really was just a sidetrack. A lot of this is subterfuge that's designed to defer us or divert us. But these people have been very numerologically inclined. The 9/11, the Order of the Garter, are a group of people that believe in gematria and all kinds of very strange, weird numerological coincidences. So these Zionists would be the ones we would blame if we were to go after the Mossad as well. But in no way am I going to be able to pin the tail on the donkey there. Not one of those people could be implicated in the 9/11 attack. There's not enough even ancillary evidence of that. The best we could hope for at this point is that we would begin severing ties with certain families and their rich connections to our country through the Bilderberg Group, the Council on Foreign Relations, and the Trilateral Commission. Beginning a track of foreign policy that resembles somewhat of what we have been in the past, so we don't lose our identity out there, but maintain a strong position, and a strong defense is the best offense. And maintain a position that is acceptable to Russia and China, because right now we're not in that condition. We are pressing the borders with Poland, pushing more troops and command units up there. Ever since Obama, we put 15,000 troops in the Poland area and 3,500 tanks, which could very well be used against Russia. They're not happy with that. Trump hasn't done anything with that, but he's been cavorting with Russians on another issue, and that is to depose the current leader, Poroshenko, of Ukraine. Now, they just had a revolution in Ukraine, but Russia wants another one, and they want Ukrainian control still. So we're definitely going to intercept that and make sure that we don't do anything to jeopardize the fragile country of Ukraine right now as they continue to get better. But in that process, we're going to try to broker some sort of a relationship with Russia where we pull out of Syria completely and don't put any of our troops in that area and don't deal with this ISIS thing. Let them handle it, because they were doing a pretty good job with the past couple of years. And then focus more on building a shared understanding of how we can help rebuild together the Ukrainian nation by offering loans, not interfering in their politics. That would be a big step in the right direction. All right, I am not Ashkenazi. I'm the guy who's made a big issue about these people. Sack Printer thinks that Ukraine is one of the worst countries for human trafficking. I would probably agree with that. It wouldn't matter to me what they think of themselves. Ukraine is its own country and has been ever since the breakup of the Soviet Union. Remember when Ronald Reagan said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Tear down that wall." Well, a lot of things got torn down. George H.W. Bush, the current, he's still alive, just got out of the hospital. He was behind a $240 billion loan or bond issue that the U.S. Treasury wrote for him September 11th, 1991. And it was due September 11th, 2001, the 10-year anniversary. No word of that ever came up in the 9/11 Commission. You have pornographic nightmares. Well, you probably are suffering from what is called lack of release or something. Yeah. I don't know if Masons and Knights of Columbus are really enemies. You got to understand, everybody at the low level, the Masons and the Knights of Columbus, all these organizations, Demolay and all these other organizations, they're all very unaware of any serious conspiracies. Even most Freemasons out there have no clue as to what 33rd Masons are up to. And that's by design. So when you listen to people talk about how great Freemasonry is, they have no clue as to what the leaders at the top of the pyramid are doing. So you really can't judge people based on their affiliation with any of these groups at this point. But the Mossad is a different story. These people were there videotaping 9/11 right in front of our eyes, taking pictures, and then they were seen laughing and cheering when the attack happened on the Trade Center. I mean, that you cannot ignore. You have to look at that. In fact, the day it happened, I actually said to Sarah, I said, this is only something the Mossad could do. And I still go back to that. But either way, regardless, we still would honor our relationship with Israel and provide air defenses in case they were ever provoked. But if they were to provoke another country and launch an attack on another country, we wouldn't give them air support. And we certainly will never give them ground support in that region. No way. There's no reason to fuel more war in the Middle East. We've got to come up with solutions like water. That will solve a lot of the problems, because every community in all the nations of the world need to have a food supply, and water is the key to that. No, I've been getting a tremendous amount of exercise. I am not fat. I'm what I call really, really well apportioned. So I'm able to survive many different survival situations. You want to have a little bit of extra fat on your body just to survive a week or two without food. So, yeah, this is the deal. I'm not going to stand around and ignore Israel and a potential doomsday bomb that is staring your little life right down the barrel. Your whole life and all of our existence could be erased with a doomsday bomb. Now, we have never gotten Israel to admit that they have nuclear weapons. And I think that would be a major stride to get them on the table and communicate on issues like nuclear non-proliferation. So if they don't sign the nuclear non-proliferation agreement, we will use this as an opportunity to impose economic sanctions on Israel. And this is true with Iran too. If they don't get on board acknowledging Israel as a nation and signing a nuclear non-proliferation agreement after Israel signs it, we will consider that a reason to stop funding their matching funds of $155 billion, which we're still doling out. Trump didn't stop it. I will, to Iran, if indeed they don't sign on to this. So we have to get some talking point at which we can find an agreement to disagree at that point. Say, at least we acknowledge we all have nuclear weapons here. Because right now, Iran's probably developed a nuclear tip weapon. The treaty that Barack Obama signed will give them the ability to have a nuclear tip weapon. One at least. That's all, it's written in the guarantee. So they're going to have one nuclear weapon, Iran is, period. We never wanted that to happen, but it's already in the bag. We can't deal with that. I don't think Israel would ever attack our country, no, but they are looking for backing. They want to maintain, there's a balance of powers here that if we jeopardize the balance of powers in this region, we will trigger potential openings and vacuums of power, which would lead to a potential war. Now, the situation in Syria is exactly that. It's a war over property that would be used as a pipeline. And the real reason why these people want to use this method to run through Syria is because somebody came up with this idea back about 40 years ago. The person by the name of Zbigniew Brzezinski decided that he wanted to develop a pipeline. He wrote about it, and he's been very powerful in the Council on Foreign Relations, and they have this plan. Now, this is the inherent conflict, the crossover point between the red line and the blue line is really where a war could be fought. Palestine has a point about Israel, yes, but the war has been fought already. Israel owns the territory. Unless Palestinians want to reclaim the territory with another war, we're kind of wasting our time talking about that. Well, the whole thing is our country was attacked. The Liberty ship was attacked. 9/11 definitely could be traced to Israel in some capacity or another, but it might also have been a cadre of people within the United States that made that happen. I know, and Israel could very well face a cutback of huge amounts of money if they don't sign the nuclear non-proliferation agreement. That's the one position I'm going to maintain is a requirement if we want to move forward in this area. But in other areas, we can begin broaching the difference. Israel already has a planned state for Palestine. In no way do we want to in any way go against that idea that Netanyahu is promoting, a planned state for Palestine. What we want to have is more autonomy with less chance for military buildup. And that's something the Hamas has not been able to do because they get a lot of money from Hezbollah and countless other forces. So, and there's another group called the Islamic jihadists that are there that are even worse than Hamas. So we have a lot of problems that need to be balanced before we can come to agreements on that. But the Syrian involvement with Russia needs to be halted. We've got to stop pushing more rebels into that region. We need to relinquish control and let Syria and Russia deal with that. Anyway, Israel never came on to the board talking about their doomsday weapon, but it's a common knowledge thing that they have one. And in no way do I love Israel. I want you to know that I'm not a Zionist, but I'm aware that they are a country and we're never going to erase that fact. And unless you're planning on invading them, there's not going to be a change there, okay? And I don't encourage that. So bear in mind, we have to move forward on a lot of issues. Our relationship with other countries in NATO is very important. Unlike you Trump-tards who believe that we need to get rid of NATO, in no way should we ever back down from our position with NATO. It's a guarantee of balance of powers, mutually assured destruction with countries like Russia and China. It guarantees that we have a strong barrier of defense against an invasion. I can't imagine erasing all the strides we've made with the NATO alliance, but at the same time, I don't support a European Union per se. If a European Union breaks up, we still have all the nations within the nexus of nations that can be part of our allies in that region. So we can move on from the idea of a European Union if indeed that does dissolve. I'm not going to approve or disapprove at this point. I don't know the person who swatted me. But if you have any information about that, send it to americasthirdparty@gmail.com. Good evening, Mystify Me. Hi. Well, if there's an antimatter bomb, Rex, I didn't know. It would destroy all continents. Some people believe they would have a cobalt weapon, which would fracture the Earth's crust many times over. Even people living in underground facilities would not survive. I don't know. I can't tell you, but there's no reason to create an enemy of Israel. And that's where a lot of you holla hoaxers are really off at the deep end. We need to stop the people who think they want global domination and want to put a pipeline through Syria. And you see that red line? That line is not Israel's border. That red line all the way around is the Zionist plan to dominate those regions. That's not something I support. I can unban all, sure. But being an anti-Zionist is in no way anti-Semitic. Some of you are anti-Semitic. But you got to understand, the people that have been giving the good Jewish people a bad name are these Ashkenazis. It's not about the money. No, this election is about the people. And I'm proof of that. I haven't even had many donations, hardly at all, in the past 2 years, ever since Vaughn started censoring us here. I'm not doing this on donations. I'm doing this for free. It's not about the money now. It's about penetration. And I've bypassed a lot of the censors just doing what I do on a daily basis and having me rebroadcast around the world. It's about the people now. Okay, thanks, MIDI clone. I'll take a look at As a person who believes, family private investigator says there's evidence Seth Rich had contact with WikiLeaks prior to his death. Well, I suspect WikiLeaks is a government agency. I've always had that sneaking suspicion, and it wouldn't surprise me if they weren't behind the death of Seth Rich, the DNC's guy who was handling election fraud and other issues. Very interesting.
Now to a Fox 5 exclusive. It's been almost a year since DNC staffer Seth Rich was murdered. Still, no solid answers until now.
Someone shot and killed Rich last July in Northwest. Now, police suggested the killing in the Bloomdale neighborhood was a botched robbery, but online conspiracy theories tied the murder to Rich's work at the Democratic National Committee.
Fox 5's Marina Morocco joins us now with what could be a big break in the investigation. Marina.
Tony, Sean, we are just 2 months shy of the one-year anniversary of Seth Rich's murder. And ever since we learned Rich was a DNC staffer, the conspiracy theories online have taken a life of their own. But today, Fox 5 has learned there is new information that could prove these theorists are, in fact, right. New information from the family's private investigators suggests there is tangible evidence on Seth Rich's laptop that confirms he was communicating with WikiLeaks prior to his death. Now, the question is, why has D.C. police, as the lead agency on the investigation for the past 10 months, insisted this was a botched robbery when till this day there is no evidence to suggest that? The Rich family hired Rod Wheeler, a former MPD homicide detective, to run a parallel investigation into their son's death. Wheeler says he believes there's a cover-up and the police department has been told to back down from the investigation.
The police department nor the FBI has been forthcoming. They haven't been cooperating at all. I believe that the answer to solving his death lies on that computer, which I believe is either at the police department or either at the FBI. I've been told both.
But you have sources at the FBI saying that there is information
For
that
sure.
would link Seth Rich to WikiLeaks?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's confirmed. Actually, I have a source inside the police department that has looked at me straight in the eye and said, Rod, we were told to stand down in this case, and I can't share any information with you.
Wow.
Now, that's highly unusual for a murder investigation.
Yep, there you go.
Especially from a police department. Again, I don't think it comes from the chief's office, but I do believe there is a correlation between the mayor's office and the DNC, and that's the information that's going to come out tomorrow.
Yeah, and a full...
Okay, really good. Okay, so since they were told to stand down, it does imply that WikiLeaks is being compromised by our own government. And yes, WikiLeaks is a tool of the government, the CIA and the NSA. That's my suspicion. You're very suspicious. And the fact that they were told to stand down on the investigation of Seth Rich tied back to WikiLeaks is very, very telling. And it further confirms my theory that the WikiLeaks has been compromised by our government. So because of all these underhanded dealings going on within our government, a political alternative is the only way. And I've been saying this for 8 years, going on 9 years, that we cannot rely on the two parties anymore to fix our country. And I think I'm preaching to the choir. A lot of you are beginning to realize that. And we couldn't rely on Trump producing any real results because he's owned. He's completely owned. Are we losing video? Am I dropping on some areas? Some of you are losing our show. Now remember, we are rebroadcasting at americasthirdparty.com simultaneous with this Vaughn show. So you can go there. It's not a Muppet mouth. You have video? I'm not jealous of Trump. Trump is violating our laws. He's committing treason. He's already exchanged information, top secret information with Russia. That's the lead story today. I have accomplished the beginning of the third party that's going to save this country. I mean, you couldn't even put a value on what I've done. It's beyond, it's immeasurable what I've done. I have single-handedly bypassed a large degree of the censorship by using the internet and getting people to rebroadcast me on UHF and UHF Plus. It's huge what I've done already. What we plan on doing is getting some semblance of decency back in government. Honesty. That's okay. I'm not on meds. All right. In lieu of what's happening now, corruption at every level, we will have to lie detector test everybody at every institution, starting with the Justice Department. before we proceed under my administration. No, this is not in any way a hack. I am a very intelligent person, and I'm not trying to brag. I'm just telling you I am. And I've seen all the potential flare-ups of our government's problems as they happen, and even predicted that they would happen, including the Russian involvement with Trump. I predicted this 6 months before Trump even got elected. It's an ocean of corruption, right? It's more than a swamp. It's an ocean. I'm not muting you for any reason other than the fact you're trying to slander me. And because I'm getting younger in appearance because of all the good quality food I'm making, I'm kind of defying the odds here. I predicted all of this before 1978. I had a conversation with Milton Friedman that our economy would collapse. He later became the economics Nobel laureate. And he couldn't come up with an answer to any of my questions. And I knew that there's something wrong there. If a person can't answer simple questions, they shouldn't become a Nobel Prize winner. And anyone who doesn't understand what I'm talking about, don't worry, you can go back and watch the show again on our YouTube site. That's safe, just laughing. Good for you. This is a very nice knot. It's tied perfectly. And I'm very proud of the fact that I got this for $1 at Walmart. It's one of these George ties they were excessing. Thank you very much for commenting about it, though. This is being projected onto the Trump Hotel right now with a laser light show. Check this out. Pay Trump's bribes here at the Trump Hotel in D.C. This is hilarious. I do ask hard questions. Like why Trump took a bribe from Betsy DeVos. He needs to be charged with a felony for that, felony treason, felony Logan Act violations, conflict of interest breaks in the presidency, selling chicken in America now from China in exchange for 38 Trump trademarks is not appropriate. That's got to be charged with, unless Ivanka could come up with something she exchanged in exchange for 38 trademarks she got from President Xi Jinping. We've got a scandal there. I don't know. Did Ivanka do something special for President Xi Jinping? I don't know. How the hell did he just offer 38 trademarks to Trump for that, including one of which is the Trump escort service? Well, thank you, but I'm trying to remain young, youthful as I go forward. This is going to be a very difficult process because I have challenged everybody on a nightly basis for 8-9 years. Most people would have worn out after 1 year. I haven't even begun to phase, it hasn't even begun to phase me. So as we head into the presidency, I'll be having a daily transparency every day so that we can talk on the issues, as opposed to what you got with Trump, where he's tweeting all the time. That's a waste of time. I won't be tweeting at all. And it creates a problem. I'm going to be speaking directly on a daily basis in a chat room at the White House. So let's go there right now and set it up so I can actually have a chat room at the White House. Yes. Conspiracy Monday. Yes, always a discussion. By the way, did you know that the word conspiracy theory was created by our government as a psyops? Yeah, that's a real interesting conspiracy theory, that the word conspiracy theory is actually an attempt to discredit people who have good questions about our government. Trump doesn't talk through you, 806. Trump won't be able to talk to me either because he's going to be probably arrested for treason. So I don't think I'll be talking to Trump much. I have this feeling I'll never meet him. Something about this whole thing seems to be, has a life of its own. It's just running out of control. Not much I can say other than that. I mean, Trump has stolen over 10 of my ideas to get elected. And we don't answer questions about Bigfoot. Sorry. I am nowhere near mentally ill like your president, Donald Trump, who, by the way, has been accused by a psychiatrist, a top psychiatrist at Johns Hopkins, that he is suffering from malignant narcissism. That's serious, man. He needs to get serious help, but the problem is it's incurable. I ran for a local election. I tried to help the people in our area, and then they purposely stole 90% of my signs. Rex360 says the phrase conspiracy theory was invented by the CIA to mitigate questions about the JFK's murder. It's well known. Thanks, Rex. Okay, there's a chicken question about food at this Chinese restaurant.
It's not fresh chicken. This is what they serve. And they want you to think chicken bounces. Are you going in here? Watch what they chicken do. Chicken don't bounce. This is not chicken. Don't fool yourself. Please. Look what they sold.
Cool.
Look what they sold. Are you going in here? Chicken don't bounce.
Hey, he's got a good point. Chicken don't bounce. No, seriously. Chicken don't bounce. There's no way chicken can bounce. I know. I can do better globally because I have a better shot. Excuse me. I had a sneeze. You'll have to excuse me. It was just something in the air. Something in the air I'm breathing. It's probably chemtrails or something else. Yeah, so we know a lot now that conspiracy theory was created to defer questions about JFK's assassination. But chicken, by the way, coming from China because Trump made this deal, that'll be erased immediately. I will pass on that. No. We've got pork coming from Chinese-owned companies like Smith Foods. We don't need chicken from China. I'm sorry. We got big companies like Tyson that doesn't want to bring chicken from China into our country. I'm not jealous of Trump. I don't give a crap about Trump. He's irrelevant to me. He's standing in the way of me fixing this country. Stealing 10 of my ideas to get noticed and beat Hillary is not acceptable. He's standing in the way of me fixing this country. I can't believe that I've spent 9 years battling through endless attacks on this show, and still the mainstream will not give me any time. It's amazing to me. In a country that claims to be free and democratic, they purposely avoid doing stories about me. And I've got millions of viewers around the world that are watching our show daily, and they can't even come in the chat room because censorship is up at Mark Bond's place. He says capacity server where everyone tries to get in here. And you've seen that screen numerous times, I'm sure. So Trump stole a lot of these ideas, over 10 of them. And I'd love to give you a list of them if you'd like. I mean, is that something you're looking for right now? There's 10 of them right there. We can just start with those. I'll go. I think there's 17 ideas he took, but it doesn't matter. Nope, Franken won't be running on my ticket unless he can apologize to me for not prosecuting Jeff Sessions for violating 2 times he perjured himself. And if Al Franken can't get his kahunas together to prosecute Jeff Sessions for perjury, then Al Franken wouldn't cut it. He wouldn't even be my VP. Sorry. I don't need some wishy-washy, kiss-ass Democrat posing as a Republican or Republican posing as a Democrat. I need a person who's got balls to be, or a woman who could stand behind me like Sarah, because she's very much a capable person as well. But I don't think she really is that interested in the presidency at this point. But you never know; she might want that. when I heard that Franken wasn't going to prosecute him for twice, 3 times, twice he perjured himself. Yeah. There's no saves here. So this Brooklyn man is talking about the truth, man. He's like, I don't know what you get these Chinese restaurants, but I know that they got direct shipments from China right now. And they've got a circuit that is not even being checked by the USDA right now. So when you go to Chinese restaurants, you're getting a direct shipment from China of the food. They buy it locally occasionally, but most of these restaurants throughout the country are getting chicken-like products, and we don't know what they are.
Chicken don't bounce.
Chicken don't bounce. That's right. He's right. No, I'm not ignoring you or questioning anybody who disagrees with me. Feel free to disagree. You shouldn't lose faith in this party, and you shouldn't be lost, because this is the beginning of something really big. I'm a centrist who will not stand there and ignore the left or the right. We'll take each one on in dealing with issues and finding a common ground. You can't promote anyone other than me here. That's a mutable offense. No, I didn't steal Trump's ideas. Trump stole my ideas. I have documented proof. Dating back to 2008. In fact, if you go to our website, America's Third Party, you can go to the old site, and it'll see everything that we've had on there since 2008. And you'll see a fence with Mexico. You'll see ocean pipeline. You'll see mobile medical units. You'll see safe zones, talking about safe zones in Iraq. All these ideas were taken by Trump when he was running in the campaign, because he doesn't have the creativity to come up with these ideas. And he's not that smart when he invited the Russians in for a private interview with a Russian secret SAS press spies at the White House. And then he divulged secrets that we never ever tell people in the White House directly to the Russians right after he fired James Comey. And then this past week he flipped 3 times. He said that he fired Comey because he was the first thing he said was he agreed that Comey was not doing, he should never have talked about Clinton prior to the election. Well, Trump knew that was bad because he had already said he approved of Comey talking about Hillary Clinton being prosecuted 5 days before the election. He already approved of that. So he lied right there. And then he forced another lie, which is that Comey was fired because he was mishandling the FBI, and that directly conflicts with the FBI itself, who says that Comey was doing a good job. And the guy was testifying, his deputy was testifying that Comey's doing a good job. The same day that Trump said he fired him, this is the second lie, because he wasn't handling the FBI well. And then the third lie, the clincher. Finally, after being battered about the Russian thing, he says, well, I was very upset about Russia and the whole thing about being investigated, so I fired Comey. Admitting that he committed abuse of power, which is a felony by the president. We don't even need the Watergate hearings. He basically implicated himself yesterday with his mouth. So now he's sitting there probably going, oh, I don't know what I've done. Jared, help me out. Well, what are we going to do, Jared? And Jared's asleep at the switch, too, because he's being investigated for $1 billion connection of finances with George Soros through Cadre that he didn't report. And Jared's going, I don't know, I got problems myself, though. And the two of them are like, and Ivanka's going, it's okay, boys. We can always send ICBMs over there to Syria. I mean, we have absolutely no one running our country except for General Mattis right now. It's unbelievable. Our Secretary of Defense is doing a better job than Trump could have ever done, just holding the fort. Thank you, General Mattis. I'm not the only one. 7 news agencies today implicated. Trump implicated officials. You don't read the news? They're all over the place. I mean, you look at all the news. What did Donald Trump tell the Russians? Trump shared classified information. This is the BBC. New York Times reports showed just how deep the conspiracy was. This implicates Pence. Check this out. Yeah, Ozarks brought us this one. No, this isn't fake news. This is all real. United Airlines said cockpit access codes leaked to the public. Are you serious? I did not know that. Yeah, here's the guy he met with. Trump revealed intelligence secrets to Russians in Oval Office. Reuters. The entire world is adapting to having an idiot in the White House, Mother Jones. FBI director received millions from Clinton's foundation. That's very implicating. That's another side note. Hillary was in on the Russian deal too. It's not just a Republican thing. No, bottom line is the mainstream media has been purposely avoiding me for years. Okay? They'd avoid you too if you wanted to speak up. I'm not alone here. Trump was implicated in a prostitution ring. Yeah, we know about that. And we know he just got the Trump escort service trademarked in China, which is very, very telling. We don't know what was leaked yet except information about ISIS. That's all we know. I would expect a federal prosecutor to be assigned to the case within a day. I would not be surprised if within the week we see a special session of Congress put together. My opinion about homosexuality is it's your choice. Privately, two consenting adults can do whatever they're going to do. But we don't have special laws that should be accommodating people with special bathrooms. I would never, ever get behind that. It's a sidetrack. We need to focus on the real issues. I know. No, the media isn't anti-Trump. Now it's becoming, wow, Trump is a traitor, Trump. Yeah, it's way beyond anti-Trump now. It's protecting our nation. Everybody's involved now. Even Republicans are going, I can't believe I even voted for this guy. That's what they're saying. Hillary was so bad that Trump would be the lesser of two evils in the eyes of people. They didn't know how deeply Trump was connected to this. Now, this is a story that could lead back to any number of people in the Clinton administration. Justice Scalia believed Supreme Court was being spied on by the Obama administration, and the Obama administration could be subpoenaed. The article about John Podesta knowing about this situation is also very, very disturbing. Get rid of that. This came up last week that is really disturbing. I'm going to show this to you. I can't even believe that this tweet from Podesta even was unnoticed at all in the media, but here it is. The Justice Scalia believed Supreme Court was being spied on by Obama, but check this out. Hillary saw Obama as a potential. Hillary saw Justice Scalia as a potential problem passing gun control. Even her daughter, Chelsea, went out the day Scalia died and said that gun control opportunity in the Supreme Court with Scalia gone makes it very possible. They really believed Hillary was going to go all the way. Well, Hillary's campaign manager, John Podesta, wrote this to Trump just the other day when he fired James Comey. He said, didn't you know you're supposed to wait till Saturday night to massacre people investigating you, Donald Trump? John Podesta wrote this. Well, it turns out that John Podesta is alluding to possibly, allegedly, Justice Scalia dying on Saturday night. When Justice Scalia was investigating Podesta, Obama, everybody. So Podesta is kind of possibly implicating himself here. And then this one came out 4 days before Justice Scalia was killed, and I believe he was killed. Don't say that about Chelsea, you know. She'd probably bite it off. Okay, Podesta says, I'm all in. Sounds like it will be a bad night. We all need to buckle up and double down. Okay? And this needs to be investigated. And down here it says, didn't think wet works meant pool parties at the vineyard. Well, this is 4 days before Scalia was killed. The term wet works means assassination, murder. And he used that in the tweet. And here's the Cibola Creek Ranch where Justice Scalia died. There's a beautiful vineyard and a pool there, a big pool. It's $395 a night to stay there. And I guess he got a room comp to him. So when he died, I don't think he had to pay. Excuse me, sir, but while you're being taken out of the Cibola, could you check and see if he has a credit card? Because he didn't pay for last night. They got Justice Scalia out of there so fast to the nearest morgue. Actually, it was a funeral home within a short drive. 13 cars followed in a motorcade the body of Justice Scalia. They got it out of there and they got the blood drained out of it before anyone could get a single drop. Tell me that's not a cover-up. And he died with his pillow over his head. No, I don't see Trump tweets about me. You'd have to make copies of that. Never seen Trump acknowledge me at all. ATP and David Sponheim are the cause of all this fake news. If this is for real, I mean, I feel sorry for this guy because the Justice Department is going to have a field day with this guy. Seriously? I'll have to show that to Sarah. You sure that's not photoshopped? It's probably photoshopped. Yeah, I don't believe it. It's photoshopped. All right. It was real? Wrong font. Wrong. It was photoshopped. I don't know. Shrek voted for Trump, so a lot of people who voted for Trump are kind of losing it right now. Alan Lichtman on predicting Trump's impeachment. Yeah.
So, Alan.
Yeah, we played that the other night. That was good. Alan Lichtman was the guy who predicted Trump winning and Trump being impeached. Good job, Alan. We really enjoy your analysis.
Called The Way Out.
The Way Out. And that is it's going to our new 5 tonight. Okay. Anyway, that's a significant story about Podesta and the emails. Looks very suspicious. Alleged involvement. Yeah. Well, Hugh, a.k.a. Rodney, that's inappropriate here. You're going to be muted for a while. Okay? Yeah, macarons are good things. Sarah loves macarons. I don't think that was a real tweet from Trump, yeah. Anti-Trump are getting more and more mentally retarded. No, check the news. It's going down. The impeachment's imminent now. I mean, just go away, man. Don't you realize that you don't understand a damn thing and you voted for Trump? Just face it, you're an idiot. David, what did you cook for dinner tonight? I made a quickie. I threw shrimp on top of onions on the grill with a little olive oil and got that cooked up so the onions were glazed, and then I threw some eggs and peas on top and seasoned everything with dill weed, a little bit of onion powder, and it's pretty good. And then I served it on a baked potato, open-faced Yukon Gold. Yeah, it's not a bad quick meal. I made it in like 15, 20 minutes. The eggs and peas are not something you'd enjoy with shrimp. Whatever. I enjoy it. I think it's good protein, and it adds a rounded vegetable to the dish without having to go, cut a vegetable. And I had sliced cucumbers on the side. No, the shrimp were purchased from Indonesia, much safer than Louisiana. Until we get a hold of our environmental cleanup problem in the Gulf of Mexico, since Obama doesn't give it a crap, we're going to have to go and do something. Obama didn't care about the Gulf of Mexico, and Trump doesn't care about New Orleans. But I'm sure people are still eating those Gulf shrimp. I just don't choose to eat them. I'd rather get Indonesian shrimp with radiation from Fukushima. Actually, it's not exactly in the pathway of Fukushima, so it's actually a little safer. Nope, this isn't fake, and my hair is not fake, and we're really on the way. Yeah, I saw some Gulf shrimp on the market the other day. I just didn't want to go for it. Okay, this is a United Airlines guy who says that cockpit access codes have been leaked to the public. This is serious.
Says access information for cockpit doors may have accidentally been made public. The airline sent employees a bulletin that warned that flight deck access procedures may have been compromised. It also said a corrective plan is being established. The airlines is not saying how the information became public.
probably through WikiLeaks, affiliated with the NSA and the CIA, courtesy of the NSA and CIA. Ground control to Major Tom. What are the access codes to the cockpit? Remember that guy that allegedly, co-pilot allegedly locked the pilot out of the front seat of the plane? This happened like over a year ago now. The plane crashed into the side of the Alps. Remember that? Well, it turns out that there was no audio transcript showing that the pilot was kept out of the cockpit by the co-pilot. They claim the co-pilot had a mental breakdown and killed 150 people. No, but I will tell you that there was a major catastrophe that happened at the same time that the plane crashed into the Alps. And it happened at the CERN reactor 120 miles away. They had a massive magnet failure. Now, nobody's connected the two dots, but conspiracy theorists have ruminated on the possibility that this could be related, that they covered up the entire thing by saying the co-pilot locked the pilot out of the cockpit. Not a stitch of audio evidence verifies this. That's pretty suspicious that Interpol would release a fake transcript of a crash by an airplane without even an audio backup ever. And they did it within an hour and a half of the plane crashing. How in the hell did they get the black box and translate it? And all of a sudden the world knows somehow that, oh, this guy, we thought that we were hearing it live, like the pilot was locked out of the cockpit. There's not a stitch of evidence that he was locked out of the cockpit. Plus, pilots have cockpit codes, as evinced by that statement by United just now. They can break through, and they even have 2 backup keys on board. But none of that ever got up. Nothing in Interpol, nothing talking about the potential for a major lie and CERN having a massive magnet failure at the same time. That would mean that CERN would be responsible for the death of 150 people on board a plane. They don't want to bear the responsibility. And aircrafts do have CCTV on board, yeah. And tell me, Scissor Fight, why don't we have any photographs of the wonderful woman who played Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher, before she died? How come there wasn't a single picture of her around her? Somebody could have walked up and injected her a medication that could have given her a heart attack. Now remember that Carrie Fisher was the one that called Donald Trump out as a coke addict a month before she died. Isn't it interesting we have no photographs of her on board the plane, no CCTV footage of anything? So somebody could have gotten to her and given her the suicide drug. That horrible thing that people... You know there's a gun, right, that they can kill people with from a distance? Sure. If you didn't know that, let me play this for you. This woman will explain it to you. She worked for the CIA.
Also, I had to find, one time they wanted me to find out if there was such a thing as a poison that was undetectable, especially one that seemed to mimic a heart attack, that would kill someone, but it would appear that they had a heart attack. I did find such a thing.
Does this pistol fire the dart?
Yes, it does, Mr. Chairman. And a special one was developed which potentially would be able to enter the target without perception.
The poison was frozen into some sort of dart, and then it was shot at very high speed into the person. So when it reached the person, it would melt inside them, and the only thing would be like one little tiny red dot on their body, which was hard to detect. There wouldn't be a needle left or anything like that in the person.
But also the toxin itself would not appear in the autopsy?
Yes, so that there was no way of perceiving that the target was him.
See the way the guy was fondling the gun, like it was like a little phallic symbol. He was kind of proud of the fact that they could use a gun to kill somebody with a frozen dart of medication that you can't even see except for a little red dot in your body, and you die. Yeah. Stephen Greer and his associates all got cancer. It's true. Yeah. Stephen Greer survived it. He's one of the few. So the Mad Dog is talking about the the USS Forrestal fire that killed over 130 people. That John McCain was flying in on that plane, and you heard the story that the plane was not grounded properly, and stray voltage caused the Sunni rocket to fire and hit some World War II ordnance that was not thermally protected. So you can't directly blame John McCain for that crash or that fire. A president cannot close the CIA. It has to come through Congress, and it's going to be very difficult. We will, however, choose a good director that will be vetted. These holes only stay open for 6 minutes. If you don't die right away, it can heal and no one would know. Very interesting. Hydroglow has another little nuance about the heart attack weapon. So if you're given a medication that kills you within 15 minutes, within 6 minutes the hole heals right away and you don't see it. Wow. I would love to be able to close the CIA, but you can't do it. The president can't do it. He has no authority to do it. But I can tell you we can shift a lot of our resources to the Army, and the president has control over the Army and Marines, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard. And DHS could be run by the government and by the president. So we can work around the CIA's operations. My argument is that the CIA is a rogue agency that was formed from the Office of Strategic Services and put together by Nazis. I believe that there's a serious Nazi connection to our current shadow government. And that's why Trump is surrounded by Ashkenazis. Everybody in the Trump cabinet and in his enterprise, it seems, are Ashkenazis. It's pathetic. It's begs the question, why these Zionists are in power, and they've been getting away with this for a long time. So the swamp is more like an ocean, somebody said. Corruption is everywhere. The swamp is everywhere. Truth Media did a good job on this.
There is absolutely no doubt that Donald Trump is supported, owned, and operated by the Zionist Jew power structure. It is a verifiable fact. It is a fact the mainstream media and mainstream alternative media alike will dare not touch. Anyone ignoring this fact and not exposing this is either incredibly naive or bought and paid for to sell you disinformation. Donald Development, the Trump Organization, Ashkenazi Jew. Jason Greenblatt, Executive Vice President and Chief Legal Officer, the Trump Organization, Co-Chairman, Israel Advisory Committee for Donald J. Trump, President Trump's Special Representative for International Negotiations, Ashkenazi Jew. Vincent Harris, Former Digital Strategy Manager, Donald J. Trump for President, Ashkenazi Jew. Thomas Hicks Sr., Finance Vice Chairman, Trump Presidential Inaugural Committee, Ashkenazi Jew. Carl Icahn, Endorser, Donald J. Trump for President, Special Advisor to the President for Regulatory Reform, Ashkenazi Jew. Gail Icahn, Finance Vice Chairman, Trump Presidential Inaugural Committee, Ashkenazi Jew. Robert Eager, Member, President Trump's Strategic and Policy Forum, Ashkenazi Jew. Travis Kalanick, Member, President Trump's Strategic and Policy Forum, Ashkenazi Jew. Peter Calico, Donor, Trump Victory Fund, Ashkenazi Jew. Daniel Kowalski, Deputy Policy Director, Donald J. Trump for President, Member, Trump Economic Advisory Council, Ashkenazi Jew. Charles Kushner, Endorser, Donald J. Trump for President, Donor, Make America Great Again.
Sorry, I was muting myself just to verify what I said. Bottom line is, this man who's Kushner's father is an Ashkenazi Jew. But the Jewish people are not even fully acknowledging of the Ashkenazis. These people have given good Jewish people a bad name. These are the really, really greedy people that have always given Jewish people a bad name. They're not blood related to Abraham. They're not related at all. They're people like Hitler. Hitler was a Zionist, an Ashkenazi. Ergo the name Nazi. Okay, now you can look up Nazi and it'll say on the wiki that Nazis somehow a derivative or an acronym for National Socialist something. I used to think that until I realized that the Nazi word is all about the people that are really, really greedy, that wanted to take all the money of the Jewish people, incarcerate them against their will in concentration camps. Yeah, I just practiced my diatribe. Thanks. My proof is in the pictures here of the dead people. Yeah. I think all of you, who look back on history have seen the pictures of the camps and the Auschwitz and Treblinka, and you could argue that these camps weren't real. They were, and they were held against their will. All these people were held against their will, and that's why their bodies were in big, huge piles. Yes, the Trump escort service is one of the 38 trademarks that were approved by China. And if you want, I can take you to Trump International. I don't mind taking you to the Trump International website. That's archive.org had the story, which was, these people really are dead. And there's hundreds of thousands of them in picture. This is not fake. This is real. So I'm going to give you a link to spend an hour watching tonight. And it's from Alfred Hitchcock. And it was republished in 1985. They had no CGI capabilities in 1946. So don't say it was done by computer. All right. So that's proof enough for me to know that the Holocaust is a horrible event, and it did lead, ironically, to the formation of Israel, which was Hitler's plan, actually. He was working with others as well to manifest the creation of Israel. And I don't have a problem with Israel now. I think Israel is a safe haven for a lot of people who are fleeing the aftermath of World War II. But I have a problem with Israel directing our foreign policy, and Ashkenazis like Jared Kushner's father here running our government. I have a problem with that because it's leading to innocent people dying in wars like Syria, and we don't need to be involved in that. Israel has a vested interest in it, but we don't. We don't need to be doing the bidding of Israel in the Middle East. And that's one of the major departures from the Trump administration that I would see happen, avoiding more and more conflict in the Middle East by supporting Zionism. I was a vegetarian, not a vegan, for 5 years, in which I tried to go without meat. It was devastating. I can't tell you how bad it was. To this day, I suffer from lack of amino acids if I'd go without meat. My body has a paleo diet configuration. My ancestries were obviously carnivores. You made a great fresh picked strawberry protein smoothie. Cool. Nice. I'm doing more of those myself. Wow. It's a wild gift there. Look at this. Man, that's just like the sky opening up. Look at that. Whew. That's wild. Man, I've never seen anything quite like that. Vegan, I pronounce vegan because I call it vegan. I don't call it vegan. That's the Ashkenazi pronunciation. I don't use that. It's vegan. Hitler was a vegan. You probably knew that, right? Yeah, I just decided that living on vegetables was almost impossible. My situation was so weird. My knees were weakening. I virtually could get lateral ligament stretches in my knees. I couldn't play basketball or any kind of volleyball or anything without having problems with my knees. And then I had this weird experience where I actually felt my teeth moving. So apparently all the really tough tissue in your body, like your cartilage and your ligaments and your tendons, they begin to break down if you don't get the amino acids that meat provides. And here's a new release from Trump. Let's see if this is. Oh, he's telling people where he's going to be in the next couple of years. Oh, okay. Good to know. Wow. Didn't realize he knew in advance. He must be prophet or something. The prophet of doom. Your girlfriend wanted to pay $10 to pick her own strawberries. Oh, that's okay, dear. Yeah, it's a lot cheaper to buy organic strawberries and pay $10 and have them, Yeah. Well, no, when your teeth are moving, it wasn't time finding time. No, I'm telling you, I started eating chicken and bringing chicken and then eventually beef back into my diet, and my whole mouth got strong. My teeth were really strong. No more problems with them moving around in my mouth. It was the weirdest thing. I'm telling you. But of course, teeth are things that, you have to back up the physical body behind the teeth if you want a healthy teeth. Look, calling me a libtard is negating all the work I've done in the past 8 years. I have worked toward gun rights advocacy. I put together plans for making our country a lot more solvent fiscally than any liberal. Nobody's paid me a penny doing this. I am an average American pursuing a centrist party. You right-wing, hardcore Holocaust deniers are worthless. You're absolutely worthless. You led us to Trump, who's a Zionist, and you're the ones that voted for Trump. Tell me that's not the most bizarre hypocrisy I've ever seen. John Oliver has a little story we're going to bring you tonight. He really delivered a good one on Trump on his show.
Breaking news this morning, the President of the United States just threatened the man he fired as FBI director.
In an extraordinary tweet today, Trump warned James Comey better hope that there are no tapes of our conversations before he starts leaking to the press.
Tweets like that are actually really difficult to pass because they are somehow both a borderline obstruction of justice and the meaningless rantings of a confused old idiot. They exist in two opposite states simultaneously. Trump is truly a Schrodinger's arsehole. And I will say this, if he is recording everything that happens in the Oval Office, I actually don't want to hear those tapes. Because I'm assuming it's just his voice muttering the sentence, "I never wanted any of this," over and over again, occasionally interrupted by mattress commercial jingles and string cheese farts. So at this point, President Trump has made it very clear. He fired the director of the FBI at least partially due to unhappiness with the Bureau's investigation into his campaign's possible collusion with Russia, which is both shocking and yet completely unsurprising. There is really nothing Trump could do to genuinely shock me right now. If you said he fired Comey because he's investigating Russia, I'd believe you. If you said he did it because Comey is 6'8" and Trump feels like a tiny little man standing next to him, I would believe you. If you said he fired Comey, walked into the Oval Office, spread peanut butter on his genitals, brought in 35 squirrels and yelled, "Buckle up, Daddy's brought dinner," I'd say, sure, why not? That sounds like something the President of the United States would do. That's the world we live in now. You know what? It is too easy to point at Trump being crazy. That's what he does. That is not going to stop, and it's going to be exhausting for everyone. The important question is, what do the rest of us do? And that brings us to Congress. 534 people less annoying than Ted Cruz, and also Ted Cruz. Because it is time for each and every one of them to pick a lane here. They do have options. Obviously, there are the investigations that are currently ongoing, but they could also press Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein to appoint a special counsel within the Justice Department. But at the very, very least here, they need to acknowledge that what has happened is fucked up and not continue to give non-answers like the one Paul Ryan did when asked about Trump's tape recording threat.
I've decided I'm not going to comment on the tweets of the day or the hour. I haven't seen them all, to be candid with you. Look, the comment, I'm sure some of you probably want to ask this question as well. No one's disputing the fact that the president has the right to hire or fire an FBI director. He made that decision. It's been made.
Yeah, but that's not answering the question, is it? That's just regurgitating what happened. It's honestly incredible to watch a man who spends 90 minutes every morning working out refuse to show any strength whatsoever.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to finish this off in about an hour. Yeah, this is going to be on the list of shows we play in the evening. Back to the memory of the Holocaust. Yeah, but no, seriously, Oliver does a good job of lambasting Paul Ryan. I'm not a big fan of Paul Ryan, but I have a feeling Paul Ryan is going to become our president temporarily because I don't see how else this is going to play out. We know that Pence is also complicit in the Russian involvement. We know that the cabinet and even the ones that bribed Trump for a position are complicit in this. They were in touch with Russia as well prior to the election. So all of this is pointing to one simple fact. Paul Ryan will probably be the interim president for a short period of time until we can build up a political movement, at the same time have a new election. We'll be stuck with these two-party cronies, these Masons like Paul Ryan. I don't think Hillary qualifies. She's got too much dirt on her right now. Hillary has got tons of problems and connections to Benghazi that never got vetted. Her relationship with Podesta has been revealed through the WikiLeaks. Podesta and all of that is very suspicious, alleged involvement in Pizzagate. Too much baggage. And we also know that Hillary was making deals with the Russians as well, which implicates her and Bill. So Hillary's not the answer either. We know that there's a lot of cover-ups in the Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton history as well. We don't need more of the same. And it wouldn't be a good thing for our country to have Clinton. Our country would be forced into turmoil because a lot of people who voted for Trump really believed him. They didn't think he was going to lie to them and flip-flop on everything. They really believed he was going to prosecute Hillary. They still want that. I will prosecute Hillary. I will prosecute Barack Obama and his transgender lover, Michael. Bernie Sanders is not a go because his wife is now being investigated, and it's pretty obvious he sold out to Hillary. We're pretty sure that Bernie took a deal with Hillary. He got two $600,000 houses right after he stopped his run. I mean, where's the money coming from? If you scrutinize his books, and they're doing that right now with Jane Sanders about her university involvement, it looks like she did a little money maneuvering to make it fix the books to look like they had potential clients and money. It looks like she collateralized a couple loans with donations, which is illegal. Well, anyway, we will pull together as a country with a centrist administration and open door to questions on the issues. Now, a lot of you have accused me of being, fascistic by muting and banning and purging. We're in an incredibly dangerous environment. We just got a death threat. We're in an incredibly dangerous environment, constantly doing this on the internet. It may seem like it's nothing, but we're growing in lieu of all the hatred. And I've been doing a good job of knocking out slander. But I'm open to your questions and disagreements on the issues. I've never stopped that. I've never curtailed that. But if you call the Holocaust an issue and say it didn't happen, that's not up for discussion. I'm sorry. I'm looking at dead bodies everywhere I turn in this movie. If you want to go see it, it's a very powerful movie. It's almost too painful to watch. All right, in lieu of the fact that I am both a fiscal conservative and a social liberal, I can appeal to both sides of the political spectrum simultaneously. And again, I don't know anybody who's got as many death threats as I get. I get 3 death threats a day, on average, 50 a month, on average. So you tell me if these people aren't frightened of me or not, because anybody who wants to attempt to kill me or try to kill me or threaten to kill me is clearly afraid of me. Afraid to the point where they don't even know what to do with me. So that's the bottom line. And we do this despite all of that. No, George W. Bush was a complete sellout to the corporations and the New World Order. And I'm going to ban you just out of principle. George W. Bush started 2 wars and didn't even have any justification. I can't even get the FBI to call me back. That's one of the reasons why I wanted Comey to resign. I can't even get the FBI to call my phone number back. They won't even return a call. So I mean, the FBI is going to be reworked into a whole new approach. That's a death threat, man. Oh, in case you didn't know, the NSA does log the communications on the internet, all of them. Here's Trump senators reacting to Trump revealing the information that's just revealed that Trump revealed classified information to the Russians. This is an ABC News feed.
Conclusion until we get the facts, as much as I trust the Washington Post.
Have you seen this Washington Post report that the president may have divulged classified information to the Russians?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's accurate or not. If it's accurate, it'd be troubling. All I can say is that I've seen other stories in the Washington Post, which is a fine newspaper, about what Comey allegedly asked Burr, and I didn't buy, that didn't pan out to be true. So I don't know. I don't know if it's accurate, it'd be troubling. I have no idea.
The story's factual and it's developed further. That would be a very troubling development.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we got information from Jeff Sessions, who's continuing his attempt to put more and more people in prison against the solid objective analysis of the previous administration that private prisons don't work.
And in the work that we all do.
This guy is a absolute mess. He's doing whatever they tell him to do.
Under President Trump, this Department of Justice will have your back. We will do all that we can to keep you safe and promote public support for honorable officers in your dangerous work. I call on everyone to remember that it's not our privileged communities that suffer the most from crime and violence. Regardless of wealth or race, every American has a right to demand to live in a safe neighborhood.
In other words, he's going to put more and more criminals in jail that lead nowhere. The war on drugs has been a failure. These Republicans have their head in the sand. They're a bunch of ostriches. They don't even recognize that the private prison system is out of control, bringing people in just for profit. He doesn't even understand that. And he needs to recuse himself from the role of being Attorney General because he's committed perjury twice in front of Al Franken. And Al Franken won't prosecute him, which makes me think Al Franken is a Republican posing as a Democrat. So you Democrats better clean your house up before you start dealing with this onslaught of complicity in the Russian relationship that Clinton was involved with, Podesta was involved with, and now Trump is heavily involved with. Thank you, DT Laura. That's very kind of you. All right, so we've got lots of tabs here. I mean, it's almost bizarre how many tabs we've got in front of us. But this computer is handling it really well. I'm using the Epic browser. We just got this video from somebody who does voices. I'll be playing that later. But yeah, look at all these browsers, and this is handling it perfectly well. Elizabeth Warren can't run. She's going to be charged with fraud, no? Yeah. They're already threatening to use fraud against her. Trump picked up on my line and said that he wanted a DNA tester. All we have to do is get Elizabeth Warren DNA tested and she will automatically crumble. She's not 1/5 Cherokee Indian. There's no way. And she would be then charged with fraud. Yeah, it's called the Epic browser, and it's pretty cool because it has safeguards involved in it that Chrome doesn't. So now I'm only using two browsers, the Epic and Chrome. So if it's good on the Epic, I just bump it over to Chrome, and sometimes things play on Chrome or sometimes on Epic that Chrome doesn't play. So these are the two combos I'm using. Now, if you're getting I don't think Elizabeth Warren is Cherokee Indian. I'm sorry. I would require her to get a DNA test when I'm president. I'm going to require a DNA test from Elizabeth Warren. Otherwise, she's going to be charged with a felony. Either way, she's going to be charged with a felony, unless, of course, she passes the DNA test with 1/5 Cherokee Indian in her bloodstream. All right, so I don't think Elizabeth Warren's going to be a threat from the Democratic side. Plus, she doesn't have the ability I do of speaking off the top instantly. Nobody in our political spectrum has my ability to speak on any issue off the top without any prep. I'm the only person who can do this. Trump tried it, but you can see how he strangled himself in his words and couldn't resolve anything he said. And he most of the time copied from me. So yeah, we're looking at a really positive day. This has been a big upturn for me because I finally saw a crack in the corrupt shell of the Trump presidency. And he was basically 3 times changing his story on why he fired Comey and ended up with a felonious statement saying he used his power to fire him because of the Russian investigation. This is going as a slam dunk against Trump. It won't be hard to impeach him now, unless, of course, the Republicans completely lose sight of their own national security, and then their whole party's going down because of what they're doing to our country right now. And like I said, I can't guarantee Hillary and Podesta weren't involved with the Russians as well. You know, he didn't really, originally he didn't even say he fired Comey. Originally it was Jeff Sessions that fired Comey, and then it became obvious Jeff Sessions had recused himself on the Russian thing, so he couldn't. So then Trump said he fired him. No, I'm not as smart as Edison or Tesla. I'm smarter. I'm kidding. I have no idea how smart Edison or Tesla was. All I can tell you is I am living in a world that doesn't make sense, and I can make sense of it. I can piece this together, and I can give you reasons why we have devolved to this state. I can show you how our government has led to this. One piece of damage control leads to a mistake, and then a lie, and then a false flag, and then another piece of damage control. All of this is pretty obvious from my perspective. It may not be so obvious to you. No, I'm not really a trivia person. I'm not a Rubik's Cube. My intelligence is in analyzing things inductively and looking at problems and finding out solutions. That's where my genius comes in. I'm not a person who's a trivia guy. I don't spend my time working on, getting more knowledge. I work on my knowledge base is expanding just through the media that I watch and read. I'm bringing in rich internet media every night in our show, and we bring in links and we watch shows and we do research on every site. I do a lot of reading in the evening while I'm doing the show, just on the side, so that I can be much more abreast of subjects that are from both perspectives. And recently I stopped reading Breitbart and Zero Hedge because I saw them change. Breitbart changed when Andrew Breitbart died, when he was killed. Andrew Breitbart most likely was killed by someone, possibly the heart attack weapon. But Andrew Breitbart was the guy who probably got killed because he was outing you-know-who. When he talked about Podesta. A lot of weird things are allegedly coming out of the Podesta camp. And I will pursue Pizzagate. I will not in any way make it illegal to tweet about Pizzagate. But when Andrew Breitbart made the fateful statement that, obviously didn't play well with a lot of his with anybody who was against him.
This is a concerted effort. This is a concerted effort. Politics of personal destruction. Fuck you, John Podesta.
All right, well, you see where I'm coming from.
Okay. Yeah.
When I talk, that's because I'm interested in this ongoing whatever the hell they're doing.
What's in your closet, John Podesta? Big Podesta? Big Soros? Do you want us to play these games? Because we're playing to win.
And after Breitbart died, Steve Bannon took over, and everything morphed. I mean, Steve Bannon's not fighting for an investigation into Barack Obama's birth certificate. Judge Arpaio is, but not Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon has toned the line for American patriotism and in bringing our troops home, but you see he's lost that round against Jared Kushner. And now Jared Kushner and the Syrian-Kissinger connection is becoming more evident, especially with Kissinger endorsing this whole thing with Syria and the conflict there right in front of the cameras. I mean, it's ridiculous. Hey, Jeff Boston, good evening. A mass die-off in the Pacific as hundreds of sharks wash up on the shores of San Francisco. I was just talking about sharks dying recently. Natural News has a story here on something. Yeah. They are both predators and scavengers. They eat fish that are the weakest or the sick. This isn't the first time the leopard shark has had a die-off. They lost the population decrease in 2016 as well as 2011 when 1,000 dead leopard sharks perished and washed up on the shores right after the Fukushima disaster. The epicenter of the dead sharks has been Redwood City, California. Huh.
Large-scale deaths of leopard sharks have been reported in San Francisco Bay. The death toll running into thousands was the highest in the last 6 years and has rightly alarmed environmentalists. Dead sharks have been washing up on the shores of the San Francisco Bay for many weeks. According to reports, hundreds of dead sharks have been found on the beaches from San Mateo to Bolinas. The die-off has been unprecedented as far as the striped fish is concerned. The dead sharks were washed up since March 2nd week at the shorelines of Redwood City, San Francisco, Hayward, Foster City, Alameda, Berkeley, and Oakland, according to researchers. Sean Van Someren, executive director, Foundation, said the death toll will be thousands. This was the highest mortality since 2011. According to experts, the shark deaths in San Francisco Bay shores were the fallout of sharks consuming poisoned food and stagnant salt waters. The concern was fueled by the high numbers and death of newborns and mature adults. Pelagic Shark Research Foundation blamed the shark deaths to debris, trash, and chemical waste piled up on Bay Area from drains and waterways whose influx exacerbated the poisoning of creatures. The closure of tide gates inside the bay to guard against flooding also trapped sharks in the bay and made them victims of the toxic runoff.
Makes sense. Makes sense entirely. Okay, so we're moving on to the ongoing investigation into the Seth Rich death. It turns out that the private investigator did indeed have contact with WikiLeaks, and the information has been suppressed. We played this earlier, the Fox News feed.
Now to a Fox 5 exclusive.
I'll play it again.
It's been almost a year since DNC staffer Seth Rich was murdered. Still, no solid answers until now.
Someone shot and killed Rich last July in Northwest. Now, police suggested the killing in the Bloomdale neighborhood was a botched robbery, but online conspiracy theories tied the murder to Rich's work at the Democratic National Committee.
Fox 5's Marina Morocco joins us now with what could be a big break in the investigation. Marina.
Tony, Sean, we are just 2 months shy of the one-year anniversary of Seth Rich's murder, and ever since we learned Rich was a DNC staffer, the conspiracy theories online have taken a life of their own. But today, Fox 5 has learned there is new information that could prove these theorists are in fact right. New information from the family's private investigator suggests there is tangible evidence on Seth Rich's laptop that confirms he was communicating with WikiLeaks prior to his death. Now, the question is, why has D.C. police, as the lead agency on the investigation for the past 10 months, insisted this was a botched robbery when till this day there is no evidence to suggest that? The Rich family hired Rod Wheeler, a former MPD homicide detective, to run a parallel investigation into their son's death. Wheeler says he believes there's a cover-up and the police department has been told to back down from the investigation.
The police department nor the FBI has been forthcoming. They haven't been cooperating at all. I believe that the answer to solving his death lies on that computer, which I believe is either at the police department or either at the FBI. I've been told both.
But you have sources at the FBI saying that there is information
For
that
sure.
would link Seth Rich to WikiLeaks?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's confirmed. Actually, I have a source inside the police department that has looked at me straight in the eye and said, Rod, we were told to stand down in this case, and I can't share any information with you. Now, that's highly unusual for a murder investigation, especially from a police department. Again, I don't think it comes from the chief's office, but I do believe there is a correlation between the mayor's office and the DNC. And that's the information that's going to come out tomorrow.
Yeah, and a full report with the new breaking details and this information will air tomorrow morning on Fox News Channel. Sean?
All right, thanks to the reveal that Seth Rich's the cover-up occurred to government. I've been saying that WikiLeaks, with the reveal of the Vault 7 information from the NSA, I believe WikiLeaks has been compromised by our own government and being used as a ploy or a tool, much like a PR firm uses, information sharing. The WikiLeaks is a PR firm for the NSA and the CIA, and if they're up to no good killing people that are revealing information to them, then we've got a serious investigation there too. I don't understand how the NSA can't be self-policing right now when it turns out that the ransomware that was revealed and is now reaping havoc over hundreds of thousands of computers around the world. How in the world could they allow the WikiLeaks reveal of the Vault 7 information from a hacker at the NSA or CIA and not do an investigation of who the hacker is? I mean, there should be an internal investigation going on right now to find out who is behind this, much like they were trying to find out Edward Snowden. But I'm beginning to believe this is all intentional. My theory that the WikiLeaks Vault 7 was intentional by the government was to defer anyone from thinking that a hack was done by the government. If they share all the information, the hacking tools with everybody, they could claim anybody could have hacked into somebody, and there would be no trace of all the hacking they have been doing, which is implicating that maybe they released the Vault 7 information. Maybe they at the NSA or the WikiLeaks or anybody there, any one person there, could be very guilty about the ransomware leak as well. Okay, the Daily Beast says the White House staff is hiding as Russian chaos engulfs the West Wing. Now, my concern is that Trump is completely off his rocker and that could start another potential threat of a war just to defer people right now. We have a high risk of that right now. As soon as Trump is under prosecution, we're going to get a lid on this. But until then, Trump could do any number of things to begin the diversion process, like he did with attacking North Korea, with sending Carl Vinson up there and launching 59 Tomahawks, 23 of which hit their target in Syria, and then not even knowing where he launched them and saying to a reporter that he sent them to Iraq. This guy's capable of doing anything dangerous, so I'm very concerned. Do not ask me about how this looks. We all know how this looks, as said one senior aide after reports that Trump gave highly classified information to Russian officials. The White House administration officials are reeling at reports that Trump reportedly shared classified information to Russian top diplomats during an Oval Office meeting last week. It's the latest crisis jolting Trump's senior staff in the week following the chaotic fallout from the firing of James Comey. Yeah. Well, I would imagine that they're not going to have any comments because Trump's already said he's going to stop press conferences. So now it's going to go down to he's going to close up, lock himself up in the White House, and probably we'll have the SWAT team there to pull him out shortly. Yeah, seriously. I mean, he may just hold up in the White House. You don't know. I mean, this guy seems to be almost untethered. This is a very interesting article from the New York Times called "When the World is Led by a Child." At certain times, Donald Trump seemed like a budding authoritarian, a corrupt Nixon, a rabbling, rousing populist, or a big business corporatist. But as Trump has settled into the White House role, he's given a series of long interviews, and when you study the transcripts, it becomes clear that fundamentally he is none of these things. At base, Trump is an infantilist. There are 3 tasks that most mature adults have sorted out, figuring out by the time they hit 25. Trump has mastered none of them. Immaturity is becoming the dominant note of his presidency. Lack of self-control is a leitmotif. First, most adults have learned to sit still, but mentally Trump is still a 7-year-old boy who's bouncing around the classroom. Trump's answers at these interviews are not very long, 200 words at the high end, but he will typically flit through 4 or 5 topics before ending up with how unfair the press is to him. His inability to focus his attention makes it hard for him to learn and master facts. He's ill-informed about his own policies and tramples his own talking points. It makes it hard to control his mouth. On an impulse, he will promise a tax reform when his staff has done little of the actual work. Great article. All right. We're pretty much on to what's happening here. No, my press conference, I can answer to any of my questions that I've talked about in my show. And I can really use one incredible excuse for all of the different statements I have made that may seem a little off key. Because I am a truth seeker, okay? And I'm not afraid to take on the toughest questions that many people are having about 9/11, about the corruption of the Democratic Party, Pizzagate, about the corruption of the Republican Party, Trumpgate, Russiagate. I'm not afraid to take on any of these questions. That's what makes me a strong candidate for the future, not a weak one. And I must tell you that Seth Rich's family hired a former DC Police Department detective, and there's evidence Rich was emailing with WikiLeaks. Yes, we got that story, Misanthropy. Thank you. You can trim up that link. Maybe I'll get it. Yeah, you think this is a joke? Get out of here. You don't like Pizzagate? Get the hell out of here, because we've got a solid evidence that Pizzagate is a cover-up of massive proportions, covering up a pedophile ring in Washington, D.C. And I don't mind talking about it on Conspiracy Monday. So you're out of here purposely, Moonwalker. I have banned you from the show. We don't want dumb, stupid idiots coming in the show, ruling out words that they don't want to talk about because it's fake news. You're a brain-dead idiot. And you need to leave this show and go back to the toilet bowl where you can flush your head a few times. Clean it off. Rinse it off. I'm sick and tired of dealing with people who dispense with subjects because they've been told by the mainstream media, oh, that's fake news. Yeah, it's fake news because people like Podesta, who's in charge of Media Matters, promoted the fake news BS because he doesn't want anyone investigating his involvement. Hey, Dubster. Nice you're back. Hanging out in the room tonight, I see. All right, cool. Yeah, so this is the story that just keeps popping up in our face. Trump shared highly classified information with Russian officials. This story, Justice Scalia believed he was being spied on by the Obamas. There may be a connection. Justice Scalia may have been killed by somebody connected to the Obamas. I mentioned that Podesta wrote a very telling tweet that was very suspicious. I'll add that to the list. Yeah, this is a guy who impersonates people singing in a choir. I don't know what to do with that, so I'm going to move on. Now, this is also telling. Truth Uncensored says the FBI director received millions from Clinton Foundation, which makes him complicit in something. There may be a lot more to both parties being involved in the Russians and into cover-up after cover-up. Comey may just be the tip of the iceberg. This story, the entire world is adapting to having an idiot in the White House. Okay, you can read that if you want. I'll give you the link. Al Franken is worthless. He can't even prosecute Jeff Sessions. He's proven to be an absolute bumbling idiot in front of a large group of people. Al Franken ought to give himself up and go back to Saturday Night Live and be a comedian. He doesn't have the mental acuity to even prosecute Jeff Sessions when he openly perjured himself in front of a Senate committee. Chem bombs replace chemtrails as method for climate engineering. Wow. This is pretty powerful. We do accept the possibility that we're being sprayed. Chemtrails are very real.
This video will help.
Okay.
This video will help
expose this. We're going to do this too. Conspiracy Monday is full of videos that are very telling tonight. We've got a big reveal on the Russian connection to Trump tonight. Starting off an hour and a half of that. I might do these ahead of here. Anyway, lots of things to go over here. Dumps of chemicals in the sky above us. Satellite impressions of these chemicals as they come down on our heads. This is weather modification. And they're using this technique to create a fast global climate change scenario, which they then will blame on you and your muffler, which has nothing to do with global climate change. They are literally creating an convection zone above our planet, turning it into a microwave oven. Don't kid yourself. This is real. Go to geoengineeringwatch.org and you find out all the important points. So there's reasons why we are better than the other guy. These ideas are just a few of the many ideas we talk about on our website. If you go to the old site, you can see them, or go to our platform page. But a public option, mobile medical units, national composting plan, homestead renewal plan, just a beginning part of all the different ways we have to fix this country, which we've been available for years to deliver, but nobody believes that a third party can take off with all this corruption. And I can tell you, this is a launch point that you will never forget. This whole show is a day-by-day reveal of the need for a third party. I had a pretty good day off, Super Saver. Thank you. Okay, and we got other reveals about false flaggery. We'll talk more about that tomorrow on Truth Tuesday. False flaggery has been a common tool that the government's been using to predict a way of fearing terror or fearing guns or all these things. In no way do we want to pretend like the government's delivering any information and facts that verify any of these things, as they are. How I See the World has a story that he wants to talk about. There's no proof in a lot of these cases. All right, bye, dog. Take it easy, Salty. Time to go. Sarah took a night off. Yeah, she's a sleepy gal. You know, you have no idea how hard she works. I know. She has a, I mean, I have to, just kick back and marvel at all her effort. But she has an unending work ethic, kind of like Doopster when it comes to cars. You probably couldn't tear him away from rebuilding a car if he was really into it. Some of you work really, really hard, and you deserve, payment for all that work. She doesn't need to come in here and waste her time in our show when she really just likes to work. So you've been busy the last few weeks. I figured you were. Yeah. You get behind a project and you can't stop, and you won't stop. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I encourage people who really want to work to go for it. I worked hard when I was young. I had 3 jobs at one point, worked 80 hours a week. I saved money enough to retire at a young age. And I didn't spend hardly any of my money. So that's one of the keys to, getting ahead. But if you want to dedicate your life to working the rest of your life, go for it. Nothing wrong with that. I do work hard now. I work 10 hours a day doing this for 9 years with no profit whatsoever. But, if I can become known throughout the world and in America and run a real campaign, that would be my payback. Getting this campaign off the ground has always been my dream. But as you know, we have so many obstacles. It's unbelievable. It's beyond. Well, no, the thing is, I didn't inherit my parents' home. I inherited my dad's home after my mom died. And I was the only son that took care of my mom and dad the only child, brother or sister, that took care of my mom and dad for 25 years. Nobody else came forth. I was the only one. And I was there through all the different mishaps. And my dad had cancer, Parkinson's, heart disease. Turns out my mom had cancer, emphysema, and heart disease. And in the process, it was really, really tough. At many times during my youth, I wanted to just break away. When I was a young adult, I wanted to break away and not spend time with them, but they needed me. I was there all the time, whenever they needed me. Chemtrails, German aircraft mechanic who installed sprayer in planes finally speaks out. Let's listen to this.
Hallo, ich begrüße euch alle. Ich finde es toll, dass hier so viele Mitmenschen sind. Zum Thema Frieden möchte ich nur sagen, dass ich fest davon überzeugt bin, dass das, was wir hier machen, nämlich unseren eigenen Kopf benutzen, unsere Fähigkeit zu denken, selber Schlussfolgerungen zu ziehen, Informationen zu verarbeiten, daraus neue Informationen zu machen, das ist das, was uns dazu gemacht hat, dass wir so diskreditiert werden als Friedensbewegung. Denn das darf nicht sein, dass wir selber denken. Ich bin Luft- und Raumfahrttechniker und habe Flugzeuge repariert und so weiter. Ich möchte euch jetzt mal ganz kurz erzählen, was ich gemacht habe. Ich habe auf dem militärischen Sonderflughafen Oberpfaffenhofen in Zusammenarbeit mit dem Deutschen Luft- und Raumfahrtzentrum ein Flugzeug mit einer Sprüheinrichtung ausgestattet, was an unserem Himmel giftige Substanzen versprüht. Als ich mit den Beweisen dafür, den Fotos und allem drum und dran, zu meiner grünen Abgeordneten im Bürgerbüro gegangen bin und gesagt habe, hier, so sieht's aus, ich stelle mich jedem Untersuchungsausschuss zur Verfügung, ist 3 Tage später mein Boss zu mir nach Hause gekommen und hat gesagt, ich muss dich entlassen, da werden von ganz oben große Räder gedreht, die ich nicht mehr halten kann. Ich kriege keinen Job mehr in der Luftfahrt. Jeder, der gerne wissen möchte, wie das aussieht und wie das gemacht wird, der kann dann zu mir kommen, ich habe hier alles mit. Ich möchte dazu nur sagen, als wir fertig waren mit dem Umbau dieses Fliegers, also wir haben den innen entkernt, haben die ganzen Tanks eingebaut, haben die Leitung gelegt, haben diese Sprüheinrichtung installiert, da wurde uns gesagt, ich war ja Zivilangestellter unter Kontrolle des Militärs, dass das Deutsche Luft- und Raumfahrtzentrum das praktisch als Test macht, ja, der Flieger fliegt vorne weg, dann fliegt denen ihr Partikelmessflugzeug hinterher und misst Partikeldichte, Ausbringungsparameter und so weiter und so weiter. Die wollen ja schließlich wissen, wie sich das verbreitet. Und wir waren fertig und da kam dann das Militär und hat uns angewiesen, Vollschutzanzüge und Atemmasken zu tragen, denn die Tanks müssen jetzt befüllt werden und die Substanzen, die da reinkommen, ja, Aluminium, Sulfide, Bariumoxide, was weiß ich, sind durchsetzt mit Nanopartikel großen Polymerverbindungen, die sind für euch hochgiftig.
Okay, so I'll just continue on. It says he would contain nanoparticle-sized polymers in these things he installed. So that's about it. Yeah, just wanted to say we are moving toward an ecological catastrophe.
Wer das nicht begreifen will, den kann ich gerne.
Those who don't believe me, please come here and I'll show you all proof.
Zur Verfügung.
He's willing to testify in front of any investigation committee. Wow. Free the world, Frieden Welt. Wow. Took some real bravery to go up against his bosses there. I am really glad we got
Hi,
that
everybody.
link.
It is May 15, 2017. I wanted to pass along a
Okay. And Kafka's Winston World is there too. We'll give
Hi,
you...
everybody. It is...
Hello.
Hello. All right, good. Well, that was really an eyewitness from a guy who installed them on the nozzles. And, you know, Scissor Fight worked on planes. He knows when he asked questions, he was told, you know, you can't ask these questions. I'm not a Trump supporter, and believe me, I can't believe he'd even suggest such a thing. I'm not silencing anything here. Many of you don't realize that I am in an ambient environment that's censored heavily. The person who runs this show, from the technical side, Vaughn, which we just use his server for free, but the person that runs the server side of the show in the chat is censoring people in this chat room and making millions doing it. Scissor Fight, who worked in the industry, was told not to ask about what these things were, these canisters on the planes that were delivering pesticides. Yeah. This is very serious when you look at the chemtrails and how they're dumping on our heads. There's no justification for this. This is an actual photograph of the Point Reyes above the water, where they're creating an environment where there's a drought in Southern California and rain in Northern California. They want to break the dam in the Shasta or Oroville, and they want to dry up Southern California because it's got the highest density of population, and they want to basically weaken our country. This is a slow attack on our country. Don't ever say that in the show. We would never want anything bad to happen to Trump, even though you're making a point that is a moot point. Trump will be prosecuted soon, and you people who voted for him will realize that you got behind the wrong guy. Look, you don't have to agree with me on everything I believe. We're not here to talk about the moon landing tonight. We can do that tomorrow night. We're not here to talk about Paul McCartney being replaced by Paul McCartney. We can do that another night. All these things are common knowledge to people who are really questioning things. But it has nothing to do with how we're going to fix this country. We're not going to be lingering in the world of, gee, what happened? Where did JFK? Who killed JFK? I mean, yeah, we're going to definitely do an investigation, but we're not going to tie up our government finding out this stuff. We have to move on. We have to actually get busy and start building those jobs that everyone's been wondering where they are. Van Halen wants to buy Coachella? Really? Nope. My beta fish is still alive. He's hanging in there. I think I may want to get him into a bigger tank. I'm thinking of putting a 10-gallon tank out there with filtered water for him. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool. They just want to take over. Van Halen wants to take over Coachella? Really? That's weird. I don't know if that's possible. Yeah, I mean, were they ever inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? One of those guys was really upset he wasn't inducted. What is it? Well, I forget his name. They were? Okay. Okay, Soros has placed big bet on Snap, dumps the Amazon stake. He's betting on Snap. George Soros, hedge fund Soros Management, placed a big bet on Snap Inc. And it went up 8 points. 8 percentage points over the past quarter, while dumping its position in Amazon, and Amazon went down. Soros is manipulating the stock market. Jeff Bezos, if you're listening, you better get on this, man. Soros has taken down the Bank of England at times. He's taken $2 billion to the Bank of England. That's not something you should take lightly. So the White House staff is in chaos as and hiding as the Russian chaos involves or engulfs the West Wing. That's a story that probably we'll be seeing a lot more of this week. Whatever's coming out of Trump's administration regarding this is going to be kind of like mum's the word. I don't think they're even going to talk. Really? Rex said his first concert with Van Halen, his ears were ringing for 2 days. That was one of my experiences when I went to a couple concerts in the 80s. Jethro Tull. I went to the LA Superdome or Super Stadium, whatever it is, and it was so loud. I swear the decibels were like 110 decibels from the speakers. It was just... Okay, Trump must be impeached, and here's why. Washington Post. The time has come for Congress to launch an impeachment investigation of Trump for obstruction of justice. The remedy of impeachment was designed to create a last resort mechanism for preserving our constitutional system. It operates by removing executive branch officials who have so abused power through what the framers called high crimes and misdemeanors that they cannot be trusted to continue in the office. Bob Woodward weighs in on the President Trump's decision to fire Comey. No American president has ever been removed for such abuses, although Andrew Johnson was impeached and came within a single vote of being convicted by the Senate and removed. And Richard Nixon resigned to avoid that fate. Now the country is faced with a president whose conduct strongly suggests that he poses a danger to our system of government. And I contend that he's posed a danger to our national security as well. And that's pretty obvious. I'll read that later. Going through these links. I don't think I've ever seen Macaulay Culkin eating a slice of pizza. That's got to be an all-time weird thing. Very strange. Pizza Underground has that story. 3 million views. Fascinating. Ebola outbreak hoax busted. As Ebola vaccines question outbreak occurs. Matty D for Truth has that. Thanks, Scissorfied. Yeah, the Ebola hoax, man. These vaccine supporters are virtually, they've got a one-track mind. You know, the FDA has been working for the vaccine companies for some time, and the CDC has been as well. They're virtually a fraud and death administration. The CDC is coming up with new vaccinations to inject in us, which are filled with mercury and dangerous nanoparticles. Even glyphosate is in vaccines. The thing that's in Roundup, yeah. So yeah, there's definitely something wrong with over-vaccinating your kids. And a recent study in Yale, 2014, said that 38% increase in autism when you over-vaccinate.
Guys, it's really...
Okay, good. Is this for real? Zero Hedge has a story. I don't know what's for real at Zero Hedge anymore. Seattle set to become first city to offer safe spaces for heroin use. This is insane. I mean, we need to get these people onto methadone, not heroin. Methadone's less likely to overdose on. Heroin's highly likely to overdose on. They do that where you are. They can't shut up the clinic, and but they give out needles for free. Okay. I'm going to let them shoot up, obviously, but I'd rather they were transitioned to a medically derived, synthetically derived heroin. It'd be a lot safer. I agree. Marijuana is the cure, Stefan. Once we legalize marijuana, I think it'll be a big, huge plus. And there are new drugs, too, that need to be looked at to help prevent heroin abuse and ultimately help people get off of it. Oh, I was going to show you guys the canisters that these people use. I don't have that there. Chemis in the night. Da, 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 da. Yeah, it's not handy. Okay, so many people are of the belief that this ISIS threat has been created and generated by our own government. Wow. I tend to believe that there are serious components to this that could possibly be propaganda. We want to get to the bottom of that too. We don't want to be lulled into another terrorist fear leading to 2 wars. This story, let's see. This is 2 minutes. This is worth watching now. NASA ISIS astronaut caught using a harness during a live feed with Boise State. Let's take a look. A lot of people believe that the International Space Station is fake.
This is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Station is ready.
Boise State University, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Boise State University. How do you hear me?
Boise State, we have you loud and clear.
The external systems are cooled with ammonia, and then there's heat exchangers that transfer.
What am I doing hanging around? I should be on that train and gone. I should be riding on that train to San Antonio. What am I doing hanging around?
Okay, I get the message. That's pretty funny. I'll add that to the loop as well. Yep. They're getting so sloppy, they're not even disguising the harnesses. Unbelievable. The fake moon landing. That'll go into moon landing and in tonight's show, moon hoax. Yeah. Hanging from his belt, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was actually his belt. Dave, robots are taking over every part of society. What say you? I am not a robot. That's what I say. Can't stop because we won't stop.
We can't stop and we won't stop.
We're going to dance all night, yeah. No, Max Headroom. Max Headroom came out after me. I'm the original. I did a comedy routine in 1978 in front of a large group of people at the Comedy Store, in which it was an amateur night, and it was a raging success. And some of the people that originally knew me back then know that they started calling me Max Headroom when the movie came out because, ironically, they knew the same people that made the movie, and they were wondering if they had seen my comedy act. I don't know. I can't prove that it's from my comedy act or not, but I can tell you it's very strange. No, I'm not narcissistic at all. I have none of the trademarks of narcissism. I'll play the song, yeah, it's just not right now. I don't look at myself in the mirror. I'm not constantly drawing attention to myself. I don't live in a state of fear. I don't try to bring people into my state of fear. I have no traces of narcissism. No, I don't have clips of my comedy routine, but I know the person I did it with, and I could have him subpoenaed in court. He's an attorney in the East Coast. 180 has been offensive and very disturbing. No, I think he's attacking you, Eric. Wow. Here's another weird Podesta leak here. Very strange. Seth Rich's disappearance has not been investigated. And we just found out that there's been a willful suppression of truth about WikiLeaks being investigated, making me think WikiLeaks has been compromised by our government and they're using their power to not investigate themselves. But that time, Podesta said that he'd make an example out of a leaker at Seth Rich. Podesta, I'm definitely for making an example of a suspected leaker, whether or not we have any real basis for it. And this was in an email that was on WikiLeaks from 2015, February 26th, from John Podesta. Wow. Another damning piece of information about Podesta. Wow. I'll be darned. I'm going to put this next to the other one. This is phenomenal, folks. It just keeps getting weirder and weirder with Podesta allegedly being involved in any of these crimes. I just can't believe this guy continually pushes the envelope on things, trying to bait people. No, I don't think any of you are going to date each other. You're too interested in watching the show. You have no time to date each other. Sorry. No, that would be kind of a neat hookup. Let's go to, coffee shop and watch Dave together. What do you say? Yeah, he has six-figure salary. He's always had that six-figure salary. Are you kidding me? The guy is so connected. He's even more connected than James Alefantis. No, I can wait just a little bit. I have it on cue in my memory. Hold, please. Bringing up, queuing, can't stop.
We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. We can't stop, we can't stop. We can't stop, we can't stop. We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. We can't stop, we can't stop.
So let's be clear. In this coming election year, please vote for David Sponheim, America's third party.
Sponheim for president.
Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, can't stop.
First we hit 'em low, then we hit 'em high. Underrated, but we made it to the finish line. Rhymes designed to combine and intertwine. Spring to the summer, fall, even winter time. Beats banging harder, then head-on collisions. We make incisions with precision and quick decisions. Causing double visions if you ain't up to speed. You need to speed it up, partner, piano read.
We can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop, we can't stop, can't stop, we can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, we can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop, we can't stop and we won't stop.
In this coming election year, vote for David Sponheim.
Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop and we won't stop. We're gonna dance all night, bring it on to the sunlight. Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop, can't stop.
I hope that was very nice of you to enjoy. I enjoyed doing that too. I didn't enjoy watching Henry Kissinger step out in front of the American people talking about how he was going to fight for more war in Syria, Trump said, and Kissinger was sitting there nodding. This is such an obvious thing, the New World Order takeover of our country, that we, the American people, are now thoroughly fed up with it. We're done with this garbage. We need a new party. We've got to get these two-party people out of the way because they've done nothing. So Sarah, this woman, Sarah, 62, is still in jail for a DUI. I thought she was released. Was the bail too high at $25,000? Yeah, Kissinger is pro-New World Order. We're against the New World Order. We're so tired of it, it's ridiculous. Yeah. At this point, I can't really comment on anybody I'm going to pardon. I can't even tell you I'm going to pardon Edward Snowden if he turns himself in. I mean, I've talked about giving him 2 years at Supermax before we pardon him. She's still in jail and needs advice to move on with sobriety. Don't drink. I don't drink. Don't drink. If you got a drinking problem, you're predisposed to drinking, you're going to have to fight it all your life. I don't think there should be cannabis felons at this point. We will pardon every one of them. Yes. Anybody dealing heavy amounts of drugs will not be pardoned. Yeah, I'm not here to talk about her. But anyone, convicted of a low-level drug offense will be pardoned and released. Jeff Sessions will be charged with 2 counts of perjury and will have to face prosecution for criminal perjury, up to 5 years in jail. Jeff Sessions will be on my list along with Trump, Hillary Clinton, and Barack Obama and Michelle. Podesta will definitely be investigated. If there is any truth to the allegations that he's involved in some sort of child endangerment, we'll be looking into that heavily. Same with James Alefantis. If any of the alleged statements about him are true, we'll be looking into that heavily. We won't be backing down. I'm not going to allow the corruption in the endemic in the two-party system to take over my administration. It won't get near it. We're going to be doing everything we can to bring good, honest people into government and into politics. This should be a good rally for people to, step up no matter what your background, your race, creed, or color. We want to bring you in and give you a chance to, participate in this government. There's not a lot of people right now who believe in their government. And I don't believe in my government right now either. I think it's pathetic. Yeah, Congress has become a disaster. We have to fire everybody in Congress. I can't do it. Even if I were president, I couldn't do it. Well, my government wants what's best for the people, if indeed it is our government of the by the people. But right now, the government's working for corporations and world elitists that control the government from inside. In no way is the government really looking out for everyone here in America. We've got a bad government and it needs to be switched out with a good government. That's all. But the Constitution stands, and people like Donald Trump are going to be prosecuted if they go against it. Constitution's far greater than anybody like Trump who thinks he can dictate his policies against the Constitution. When he said that religious groups could form political parties, I knew the guy had never even read the Constitution. He's illiterate. He shouldn't be in the presidency. This is a disaster. Our country is becoming a laughingstock around the world because of him. But as I do this and as I continue to succeed at what I'm doing, people begin to gain more respect for what we are all about. And even though some people don't think I have the merit to be president, I think I've got the ideas and the spirit to be president. I have never been a political official. I've run for office, but I've been hosed down by slander and hatred and stealing of my signs. And I run a campaign, an honest campaign up against treachery and corruption. And nobody in this country can really say that. Alex Jones, it turns out, is a fraud. Yeah, he's a performance artist. Have Tanisha write me a letter, okay? She's not a third-party candidate in my mind. I've been doing this for 9 years. I represent the third party now. Yeah, so performance artists like him, who's caught and entangled in a whole lot of BS that he's been doing for years, has kind of led him into a huge gap where we're wondering, well, who the hell is he if he's not Alex Jones? And more importantly, where's Alex Jones? He may be laughing all the way to the bank, but I'm gonna have to prosecute him for missing persons and performing what is called being an imposter. Yeah, he'll be prosecuted. If he has no knowledge, when we investigate this, and he has no knowledge of where Alex Jones is, then this person who's probably Bill Hicks needs to be prosecuted and find out where Alex Jones is, because right now we don't even know where Alex Jones is. The real Alex Jones has been gone since 1997.
Agent man, secret agent man, they ain't giving you a number and taking 00 dumbass.
I should be devoted. This is Bill Hicks, by the way, talking. He looks just like Alex Jones today.
To this 12 hours a day.
In my arms. Yeah, it's Alex Jones, baby.
Yeah, doesn't that give you kind of the creeps? It's clearly not the guy who's playing Alex Jones now. It's somebody else. And my question is, where is he? Where is this guy now? You know, what happened to the real Alex Jones? It's a huge question. I would love to find out where he is.
Now you're gonna freak out when I start talking about Alex Jones, but it's the Bilderberg Group that have taken over the entire world and given Vita.
Well, I'm not Alex Jones, but I mean, I look more like the real Alex Jones than the guy that they got now. I just want to know where the hell this person really is. Okay, your contact Japan says Alex Jones may be Hicks after all. Thank you, 1408. Yeah. Well, he's openly admitted that he's Bill Hicks. I mean, I'm not the real Alex Jones. No, I was just, going off the deep end on that one. Alex Jones has admitted to being Bill Hicks many times. But my question is, where is the real Alex Jones? Okay, I think we reached the end of the rope here with 1 minute left. No, Hicks didn't get cancer because, number one, Stephen, people who get pancreatic cancer never, hardly ever die at the age of 34. Only less than 0.5% of the people with pancreatic cancer die at the age of 34. So it's highly unlikely Bill Hicks died of pancreatic cancer. He pretended he had cancer just to pretend like he was dying, and then he became
Alex Jones. And what happened to Alex Jones is when the custody case with his wife came up, the alleged Alex Jones had to tell everybody he was a performance artist. So if the team at the Alex Jones show were to hire me to be Alex Jones, I'd be a better Alex Jones than Alex Jones, even though I'm not Alex Jones.
All right, we're going to sign off, but thanks for coming in. Tomorrow's the Truth Tuesday show, and it's going to have a lot of stuff. I mean, we're just bringing this stuff in now. The number of stories propagating over the Russian connection just spiral out of control. So we expect to have a pretty exciting evening. Yeah. You're saying that Alex Jones is really Robert Mugabe? That's pretty funny. Yeah, well, the Thursday shows, I already did a trial on that whole dinner thing. I made an amazing spaghetti dish the other night, and I'm going to make another one on Thursday. Thanks a lot, Zelfire, for complimenting me. The show has a life of its own now that Donald Trump has been putting his foot in his mouth endlessly, and we just have nothing but good stuff to talk about. Yeah, I'll be in the show till 2 in the morning. You know me, I just come back and talk. And you got a link there on equality somewhere in the future. Okay. Let me take a look at that. Added to our list of videos tonight, Samizdat. We'll see if we can squeeze it in.
Just had some food.
I'm not sure what that's all about, but why not bring it in? It's got 2 million views. Okay. Yeah, I hang out all the way to the 2 o'clock hour. So Pacific time, we have a show that runs 10 hours from 5 to 2 in the morning. And we record a 4-hour chunk of it for our YouTube archive. So signing off to the archives right now. Thank you for coming in, and we'll be starting the video segment of our show. Thank you.